recording. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha, and again, welcome. The recording is fired up and ready to go for those that will listen via YouTube later. For whatever reason, maybe they have to work or things like this. Yeah, back to Yajan. Yajan, I'm not picking on you, but I tell you, this is what you said was just really awesome. And if people would begin to understand this and get a high understanding of how sometimes we need to be quiet. And even though we don't hear that hukmah, that instruction, or we don't hear, from God as we all are waiting to hear from God, although God has spoken to us many times, but sometimes we don't hear. And so when we don't hear, we don't get the message when we think we should get the message. We think that something is wrong. But I submit to you today that everything could be right when you don't hear, during those quiet times. And sometimes in our lives, it's so good to have quiet as an ally for us and to really understand, that quiet is our friend. Quiet is an ally. That we sit back and we just be quiet. And sometimes we don't have to hear. And sometimes not hearing is God speaking to us. Do you understand what I'm saying? I tell you, understanding is something that, I tell you, this is why I'm so grateful for the exile. It's because we use this time in the exile to really sit down and be quiet. Now, being quiet doesn't mean we don't have to do anything, but being quiet means that we let our work speak for us. We let our walk speak. We don't have to say anything. I think quiet is a great ally, and that we all need to try to harness it and to really control quiet. Because a lot of times we wash out quiet with undue noise. Because it's so quiet, we want to make noise. How many of you know what I'm talking about? You feel like it's just like too quiet, so something must be wrong. No, everything could be right. Utilize those quiet times. And the reason why you weren't hearing anything, if you've been here for any amount of time, or maybe you're new, is that we start 9 o'clock Central Time. Unless the Hukmah decides for us to fire it up early with the lectures, but we start 9 o'clock on the dot. We try that's start time. So 9 o'clock Central Time here in Texas, and I know we're all on different time zones. We're all on different time zones all over the world, not just here in America, but worldly time zones as well. But I think that's very, very important that we understand that. It's just like being quiet is I tell you, I learned about quiet times. A quiet house, and just the times where you don't say anything, where the house is just quiet. And to me, that's a beautiful thing. I was discussing this last night as well. Man, it's just so quiet here, and you bathe, and I think that's a beautiful thing. It's because those quiet moments is really when you get, in my opinion, you get the most work done. God's work can be done during those quiet times. In the same way, in a lot of aspects, Torah is very quiet sometimes. Sometimes Torah doesn't go into detail because Torah doesn't have to. It's just quiet. Because then in those quiet times, that allows you, those quiet moments, that allows you to fill in the blank. Israel's story is already written. Today, 2018, going forward, there's a lot of fill in the blank. Your lives are fill in the blank. Although the story of Israel is already written, but the beauty of the graciousness of the God of Israel, the creator of the heavens and the universe, the living God is that he leaves room for fill in the blank. How many of you in school are fans of the fill in the blank test? I prefer the multiple choice. But when you get those fill in the blanks where some things are left out for you to fill in, you have to fill in those blanks. It's not a given. Every day you all are filling in blanks. Although Israel's story is already written. And those fill in the blanks are those quiet moments to where you decide. You make the choice on what you're going to do today, on how you're going to perform. on how you're going to act, and more importantly, how you're going to react. I tell you, the exile is very beautiful. It's very beautiful. I see the beauty when the Torah says that the God of Israel is going to take us and He's going to scatter us to the four corners of this earth. To every corner of this earth are the children of Israel going to be scattered. And many might say, as we look at this Parsha, Kitabu, Parsha 50, they look at this and you know, on YouTube, they take this and they say, oh, you know, we were scattered because we was cursed. You see, they understand that our being scattered, our being dispersed to the four corners of this earth was a bad thing. It's very bad. Very wicked. Because we were just some evil people. And God didn't like us no more, so He kicked us out. No, I submit to you a beautiful story today. Of the beautiful side that many don't understand. And today I just gave you a great example of that beautiful side. The Gentiles need us more than we need the Gentiles. But again, we need the Gentiles just as much. I hope you all understand that. The Gentiles can be a great asset and a great weapon and a great tool for you to have in your arsenal. These past 6 days of labor, the Gentiles have been a great blessing to me. I don't know about you, but I don't sit here and talk the Gentiles down and run them under the bus because of whatever rhyme or reason, because they don't keep the Torah, because they don't serve the same God, the living God that I serve. And the majority of the time is due to the fact that they just don't understand. They have some understanding of the Creator. They have a great understanding of the Master Yeshua, Master Jesus of Nazareth, but they just don't. They have some understanding, but they just don't know a lot. And this is where we can help them and aid them and really assist them in this area to show them the beautiful and gracious and merciful God, living God that we serve. Sometimes you can do that just by being quiet. You don't have to say anything. You just have to demonstrate it. Demonstrate it through your actions. That's a beautiful thing. I'm not going to sit here and be negative. I'm just not going to do it. It's not our nature to be negative. There's one group, what they call naughty by nature. It's not our nature as Hebrews to be naughty or to be negative. That's just not in our nature. And this is another beautiful thing about the exile, is that we can clean up. You know, we can clean up these types of behavior that were learned and that were conditioned to us over time. But that we can change. Remember I talked about the fill in the blank? You can fill in the blank and you can change that. You can fill in the blank and you can change the way your families have lived for generations in these foreign lands. You don't have to play the same old record. You can change that. That's fill in the blank, baby. You can change that. You have the capabilities to do so. You have the weapons to do so. But you have to be willing. Wow, that's a lecture. Weapons and willing. You have the art. You have it within your arsenal. You don't have to pray for these things. These things are given. You just have to begin to do them. You have to begin to execute them. You have to begin to apply them. Well, Rabbi, I've just been trying and I've been trying and I've been trying. Well, just like Rabbi Bania says, keep trying. When you're going through hell, just keep walking. Well, but when you say, I've been trying and I've been trying and I've been trying, I submit to you today, keep trying. And then try again. And then when you try and you fail, then you try again. Because you can get it right. I think it was that movie, one of those Eddie Murphy movies, where one of the guys' name was Can't Get Right. That was his name, Can't Get Right. Well, you can get it right. And you can get right. But it really takes, I tell you, these past 6 days of labor, I've really noted how much I don't understand. But that I'm trying to understand. I just don't. And understanding, it has so many layers to it. So many layers. That I'm trying to get underneath of it so I can understand. So I can be that better person to this society and to this earth. So I can be a better example and exemplify and extol the name of the living God while I have life and breath within me on this earth. Many a great Gentile has passed on. You know, they talked about John McCain. He passed recently. How many of you know who else has passed recently? Gentiles that have left a great mark and left a great legacy here on this earth. You look at Aretha Franklin, my goodness. You talk about her song, Respect, my goodness. Amongst the other songs, you talk about Michael Jackson. You know, he passed a while back, but yet he left the earth a great songs. You know, there's one song that Michael Jackson sang. I sing this song and I think about how the Abba, how the Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus of Nazareth is with me in my exile. You know that song that Michael Jackson singing about not being alone? You are not alone. Man, I tell you, that song brings tears to my eyes. Because I begin to understand that I'm not alone. That the Most Highest is with me. Through those good times and through those bad times in the exile. The Abba, the Master Yahweh, the Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus of Nazareth is with me. And I don't go through my problems alone. A Gentile left that for me. He's dead and gone. He no longer walks the face of this earth. So my question to all of you today is, what kind of legacy, what are you going to leave behind when you take your last breath? What are you going to leave behind for this earth that they will remember you by? And I'm talking about Gentiles here. Respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Respect. I firmly believe we all need a great lesson on how to respect at whatever level of respect we're at. Because you never reach a utopia of respect, just like with all these other characteristics. We can always get better. We can always improve. And that's the beauty of the exile, Mishpaha. That is the beauty of the exile. I want you all to try to understand something today. When we go back and we examine, well, let me tell you this before I get into that. I woke up this morning, right? And you know the first word the Imhokma put on my mind and in my mind was moving. How many of you know anything about moving? M-O-V-I-N-G, moving. Any of you have a clue about moving? You know, moving where you have to pack up boxes and you actually have to, pack up your belongings and you move from point A to point B. You physically make a move. But I was thinking about that this morning as that was put on my mind, in my heart, moving. But not the physical move that we talk about. Because Israel did make a physical move into the land. Finally, right? The generation that saw the land. This came to me this morning as well. The generation, pay close attention to what I'm going to say here, because this is, it's almost earth-shaking. The generation that saw the land. How long did it take them to get into the land? Because this was moving day for them. Moving instructions was given out here. Like, okay, we're going to be moving. We're going to be moving into this promised land that was promised to your forefathers through covenants. That was promised to Abraham and his seed after him. How long did it take that generation that moved into the land to actually see the land? That actually step foot in the land? 40 years. To die for the responses. Women in the room. Look at how the women step up. 40 years. Now, I want you to Think about that. It took 40 years. Now, there is a lot of understanding in that number 40. 40 years. Now, the move that I'm talking about is spiritual moving. Now, how many of you know when you do a physical move, what do you have to do? Some boxes you have to pack up. A lot of stuff you have to throw in the bin, right? Before you move, you take a lot of things and you throw them in the bin. Oh, you say, I'm not going to pack that. I'm not going to take that to my new house, right? That is just going in trash. I had it for a long time. I don't need it anymore. I don't see any use. Some things you give away, right? Some things you say, hey, this is not worthy of the bin, but I'm going to take these things and I'm going to give them to, my neighbor. Maybe they could use them, or I'm going to donate them to, whatever, a charitable organization you may want to use to donate some things to. And then some things are literally packed up, taped up, boxed up, and make the moving truck. But when we look at it, and then some things, especially when you have that significant other, how many of you know when you make a move sometimes, some things you have an attachment to, and your significant other's telling you, oh, you need to throw that in the trash, but you're like, no, I had this since, since I was small, and I want to keep this. This is a keepsake. It really means I have a lot of sentimental value, but your significant other's telling you, no, you need to take that and put it in the trash. That's no good. That's just a piece of trash. How many of you have experienced that in one way or another? The way you have things that you like, your significant other telling you that's for the bin, and you saying, no, I'm going to keep this forever because I have an attachment to that. Maybe my grandmother gave me that, and I want to keep that too so I can have a memory of her. Maybe this has been passed on in my family for many generations, and I want to keep it. And so there's a tug. There's a tug of war going on. Because you want to please your significant other, but at the same time, you want to make your significant other understand the value, the sentimental value that you have for this object. And your significant other telling you, hey, we're moving, but we're moving to a new house, and we want to get new things, and we want to start a new life. And we want to get new furniture. And so again, moving came to me this morning in such a way. And I firmly believe, guess what? Right now, all of you are moving. You're moving. It's a spiritual move. And you're packing some bags. You're discarding some things. Some things are hard for you to let go of, But you need to let go of some of these things to make a move, to move. But in some instances, it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard, right? Right, Mishpah? It can be very hard sometimes to let go of those things. Some of these bad behaviors. Some of these, bad things that, that you thought were good things to have, like your pride. My goodness. This week I saw several examples, these past 6 days of labor, of true humility. And how when you have to humble yourself, and really, really, humility, humility is a real occurrence. And if you claim to be under the Torah in any kind of way, shape, form, or fashion, one of the first things that's going to happen to you is you're going to have to be made low. Well, you said, well, Rabbi, I already thought I was low. No, you don't understand what low is until you come within the Torah, because Torah is going to make you low. It's going to make you so low. It needs to lower you. So then the Torah, that the God of Israel can begin, the living God can raise you. Moving. I'm telling you. That's one of the boxes that you need to discard, is that box of pride. Can anybody name some other boxes that they've been throwing in the bin as they make moves? Because we're continually moving. And sometimes, that box, when you make a physical move, you may tell your significant other, yeah, I took that box and I put it in the trash. But you actually hid that box. How many of you done that? You hid that box in another box, some important things that do need to go, and the box actually made the trip of that thing that you told a significant other, oh, I'm going to get rid of that. Don't worry, Hunsy Bunsy. I'm going to put that in the trash. But the box, secretly, some kind of miraculous way, that box makes the trip to the new home. In the same way, sometimes pride tries to creep right back in. Envy, jealousy. I'm going to name some for you if you don't want to. But I tell you, the first part of healing and the first part of honesty is, number one, to be honest with yourself. And to be able to heal is to be able to see where your faults are. That's being honest with yourself. And when you really sit down and think about it, the only time when you can really begin to assess yourself is in those quiet times. When it's very quiet. You see? When you can be quiet and you can really begin to examine yourself. Not pointing the finger at others, but really beginning to examine yourself. When you can begin to fix yourself, then you can be of great service to humanity. You can be of great service to your neighborhood. You could be of great service to Johnny Gentile across the street. But you must be honest with yourself and understand that you do have faults. But you're working on those faults. And sometimes those faults try to creep right back package that makes the trip to the new home that you're moving into. And you said, oh, I'm going to get rid of that package. It's gone. I'm going to put it in a bin. But sometimes that package makes the trip. Because you take it and you secretly, yeah, you said you threw it away, but it's still there. And it needs to be dealt with. And sometimes these things take time. A lot of time. Just like we were having the discussion and we began to understand that it took 40 years for the generation of children of Israel that saw the land to get into the land. How come they couldn't move in right away? How come we couldn't go, our forefathers couldn't go from Egypt, land of bondage and slavery, right into a land flowing with milk and honey? Well, why the delay? And some of you may be asking that question today, and even in your petitions, you may be asking the question to the Most Highest, to the living God. Well, why are you delaying your coming? Why don't you come yesterday? You see? Why? Why delay? There are many reasons behind that answer, many understandings behind that answer. Because they too were moving and they had to get rid of some baggage. You're right, Yael, woman of the tent. And you're right, Carriage. They had to learn. They had to learn. They had to learn, Yes, you're right. J.B. Yisrael needed to be proved and tested. Had to learn. So I think these things are very important to understand. You guys' responses are very great. These things are very important to understand. Is that these are lessons that, and these learning lessons take time. They take time. I mean, you didn't adapt. Your conditioning took many, many years. How much more so when you all examine how long you've been within the umbrella, within the confines of the Torah, the laws of Moses, where you said, I'm going to take the oath, I'm going to take a vow, and I'm going to submit to this Torah. I'm going to fall in line because I want to understand the Torah. I'm not trying to overstand it. You see, I think this is very, very important to understand. Very, very important to understand. So, I'm going to save him from himself. These things are very, very important to understand. If we must examine these things. Everybody wants everybody asking for criteria. Everybody, what's your criteria for this, that, the other, and the third? Give me your credentials. No, I'm going to give you life experiences, and I'm going to speak the words of the Imhukma. That's it. That's all. I don't need to be proved I don't need to prove anything to anyone. All I need to do is live my life according to the laws of Moses. And I let my actions, my deeds speak for me. I don't need to, come with some kind of resume to the God of Israel. That doesn't need to happen. It does not need to happen. But if you're here, if you're here, you're not here by happenstance. You're here because you're supposed to be here. You're here because you want to learn. You want to be proved. You will be tested. Your testings may come on many different levels. You may not be tested as a level of a son of Aaron, but you'll be tested at the level to where you can handle, to where you can prove yourself. Your testing is based on what level you are, so you can prove yourself. 40 years, Mishpachah. Yet some of us want to, and in some instances that's not having understanding, and in other instances that's not having patience, and in other instances that's just being plain old selfish. Well, yeah, I come into the Torah now. God, come back soon. Is that fair to the others that haven't had the opportunity to come into the Torah? Oh God, come back soon. How many of you petitioned that when you first came into the truth? You came into the knowledge of the truth. You came into the understanding of the facts of the Torah. You say, okay, now come back and take us back into the land. That was take us back, Abba, to think how selfish that is, right? Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, Master Jesus of Nazareth, that he didn't fall in line with what you were thinking and say, okay, since Rabbi Zechariah is ready, now I'm going to come back. But what about everybody else that's been dispersed and scattered to the four corners of this earth that, haven't had the revelation yet of the Torah and of who they really are and of their rich heritage? Is that fair? You think about it. So again, we need to sit back in these nations and really utilize these nations for our proving grounds, so we can be tested, proving, so we can perform, and our performance can get better daily. And this is why you're here on this great day of rest. For some of you, others, your day is already done. If you're in the East, your day's finished already. This great day, Shabbat. Because we don't call it, it's the Shabbat. We use this time to rest, to remember, to relax, to renew ourselves so we can be restored. But we have to renew ourselves in such a way to where we have to go through the moving process. And this is where we are. We're in the moving process. You may not be physically moving from one house to another, but spiritually you're moving. You're discarding some boxes. You're getting rid of some old things that you've been hanging on to for so long. And some of the things are very difficult for you to let go of, but you're working on it. And kudos to you. I commend you for continuing to work. And you know your weak areas. I may not know them, but you know where you're weak. You know that kryptonite that pulls you down. And it comes in many forms, right? Some of it can come in the form of a woman. Can it come in the form of a man? Can come in the form of children? Can come in the form of money? I've seen that one this past 6 days of labor. Some people just don't know how to handle money. Money becomes a big stumbling block in their way when it comes to them in being in service to the living God. Money it hinders them. So this is why when many folks petition for, I want wealth, give me wealth, the God of Israel, the merciful, all loving, living God of Israel, he foresees that if I give this woman, I give this man all this money, they're going to forget about service to me. They're going to forget about me. So this is probably, he's doing you a great favor, a great service by not making you wealthy, but yet at the same time giving you the right amount of money that you need to have to handle what you need to do. And that as you mature, then maybe the money will change as well. So you need to look at things that way as well. Sometimes How many of you understand this? Sometimes we petition in ignorance. Sometimes we just petition in ignorance because we don't know any better and we fully don't understand the bigger scheme of things. So when we make petitions, sometimes they're just done in ignorance to where we really shouldn't be petitioning this, but we don't understand that we shouldn't be petitioning in this kind of way. Sometimes when you get on that petition mat, that prayer rug, sometimes it's just best to just be quiet. Sometimes I get on that petition mat and I'm just quiet. I don't say anything. That's one of the greatest. What is another word that I just described? I just gave the definition of what? Meditation. Didn't I? Of meditating. When you can just you're just there and you're just in a quiet state to where you don't have to be running your mouth 50 miles a minute. Some folks understand that the more you talk, the more cool points you get from the living God. How many of you were like that at one time? The more things that I say, I'm going to get cool points, and I'm going to be put in a more favorable position with the God of Israel. The more I talk. Actually, it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it's best just to be quiet. And for some, that may be difficult. Because just like Yajan was saying, I'm not hearing anything. Is something wrong? No, everything is right. You can be quiet and everything can be just as right can be. You see? So I think this is very important to understand as well. It's sometimes quiet. I mean, I firmly believe all of us, we can always use another hefty dose of quiet. Institute quiet into your livelihoods, into your very makeup, and you'll become a better person. Let your deeds and let your merits speak for you. And understand this, the exile is your ally, it's not your enemy. You're being taught and told on YouTube that the exile is a sad, horrible thing, Mishpahah. How many of you have been taught that? That the exile is it's a horrible thing. It's a thing done because we're bad people and God don't like us, so he punishing us. No, it's a blessing. The exile is a blessing. Use the exile. The exile is used to prove. Just like Israel didn't go from the land of bondage and slavery in Egypt right into a land flowing with milk and honey, what makes you think you're just super special to where when you come into a knowledge of the truth, I say a knowledge and a understanding, because how many of you today can admit that the understanding and the knowledge that you had when you first come into the truth, you're not there anymore. You have moved on. How many of you have moved on to even deeper levels of knowledge and of understanding of the Creator that you serve, the living God? You're not at that point where you were initially when you first began to embrace the laws of Moses. You're not there. You see? You're not there. You have moved on. So I begin to understand, and I'm beginning to understand why the Mchokmah put on my heart this morning moving. Because we're continually moving on to deeper levels, deeper understanding. We're not trying to overstand this Torah. I'm not trying to get on top of the Torah and stand. Can you imagine this? Being on top of the Torah with your feet on the Torah? No, I'm trying to get underneath that Torah. Because underneath that Torah gives me protection. If I'm on top of the Torah, the sun will hit me. I have no protection. Rain will fall upon me. I have no protection. Hell will come down on me. I have no protection. But if I'm underneath the Torah, my goodness. Let the rains come. Let the hail fall. Let the trees come down. Let the debris come down. Because why? I'm under the protection of that Torah. I want you all to understand Torah. At whatever level of understanding you are today, take it to another level of understanding. And you'll get there, but it's going to take time. I thought I'd understand I thought I understood relationships. I have no clue. I have no clue about relationships. I'm just barely scratching the surface of a relationship between a man and a woman. It's a beautiful thing. But we have yet to even scratch the surface about a relationship and how a heavenly relationship should be. I tell you, we're just scratching the surface. And it's a beautiful thing to understand that and continually to grow and learn and understand. Especially a woman. To understand a woman, my goodness. It's going to take me my whole life, and even into the world to come, to really understand a woman. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So when I say we have no clue about relationships, but we're understanding, and we're trying, and we're growing, and we're moving on in our levels of understanding and in our levels of knowledge, which one would you prefer? Knowledge or understanding? That's the question that I have for you today. Which one would you prefer? Would you prefer to have the knowledge, or would you prefer to have the understanding? Wow. Isn't that a question to ask? Maybe some of you need to meditate on that for a while. You know, think about that. Would you prefer to have the knowledge, or would you prefer to have the understanding? Wow. Now, for those of you Torah students, if you know anything about our rich history, let's go back to the garden for a minute. Let's go back to the garden. What was Hava? What was Eve's downfall? What provoked her to want to partake of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Think about that. Was it the tree of understanding, or was it the tree of knowledge? Think about that going forward. You see, many people will come to you wanting knowledge, but I submit to you this day, I want to understand. I want understanding. Forget the knowledge. Forget the knowledge. I want to understand. I want to understand how to get on with humanity. I want to understand how to get on with my wife. I want to understand how to get on with my children. I want to understand how to get on with my plants. I want to understand how to get on with my animals. But just having that knowledge, does that mean that I understand? Think about that. Because I look at this Gentile nation that I'm in, and down here in the Gentile, well, I've been dispersed, and down here in my city of exile. Beautiful city, by the way. Beautiful people as well. But I begin to understand that a lot of them seek knowledge, but yet they have no understanding about life. But they're very knowledgeable. But they have no understanding about how to talk to somebody else. But they're very knowledgeable. But they have no understanding how to be courteous and kind. But they're very knowledgeable. But they have no understanding how to be giving and loving. But they're knowledgeable. Well, Alex, you can keep your knowledge for 1,000. Because I'm too busy trying to understand. And when I understand, I'm still trying to understand. And then when I understand after that, I'm still trying to understand even more. My goodness. So I guess you know what camp I'm in. I'm in the understanding camp. I want to understand. I want to understand how to love my wife. I want to understand how to be gracious. I want to understand how to be merciful. Is it good to have knowledge of being gracious? No, I want to understand how to be gracious. I want to understand how to be loving kindness, how to be loving kind. Because, you know, the Most Highest is loving. He has loving kindness. So I want to understand how to have loving kindness. I want to understand how to be compassionate. You see, I'm giving you great examples of the beauty of the exile. This is what makes the exile so beautiful, Mishpah. Yet many people will tell you that the exile is a curse. No, I submit to you that it's not. It's a true blessing. Rabbi Hananiah says that understanding is above all. My goodness. But today, many folks understand to overstand. If you understood what I just said. And that's the sad part, is that they'll never get under the umbrella, under the wings, wow, of the Most Highest, because they're too busy trying to overstand. My goodness. Put me under. We talked about earlier about humility. Some of you are going to be put in situations. All of you, every day, are actually put into a situation. The question is, how do you handle that situation? If you petition for humility, you better watch out. Because the Most Highest, the Master Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, will bring humility to you in such a way to where you'll say, I have to stop with the humility, because, you know, to be made low, you have to go through many experiences in life to make you low. And I'm going to tell you, those experiences are not going to be comfortable, but these experiences are to your benefit. Some of you may be going through some experiences right now. All hell may be getting thrown at you right now. I'm going to encourage you. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm sitting on the sidelines cheering for you with the pom-poms and everything. I'm just not wearing that skirt. I'm wearing some short pants. But I'm cheering for you because your character, things are being moved out of your house that needs to be put in the bin, while other things are being boxed up that needs to be moved into the new house. And one of those things is humility. Sometimes you're going to have to go through some rough circumstances. And it may seem like nobody's with you, but just like Michael Jackson said in his song, you're not alone. You are not alone. I am here with you. That's what the Abba's saying. You're not alone. Yisraelite, descendants of Abraham. There's a covenant. There's covenants in place. You're never alone. That's the beauty of the exile, is that you get to experience the living God. It's real, Mishpachah. There's no Buddha in the restaurant. This is real. There's no Krishna. This is real. You get to experience God in your life. You don't have to see Him to know He's there. You don't have to feel Him to know He's there. When you experience Him in your life. You see, and those experiences come with a lot of trial, a lot of error, but it makes you such a better person. It makes you upright. And I know everyone in this room, you want to walk upright. You see, you want to walk upright. So embrace the experiences. Embrace them. And you know, welcome the experiences in, good and bad, because we serve a God that's great. So good and bad don't matter, because the God of Israel is the most highest. He's the greatest. We serve a great God. The Christians will tell you God is good. I submit to you that God is great. He's the greatest. And He won't leave you or forsake you. He won't. Even when you're doing bad. And our forefathers did bad. This is why we dispersed and scattered. This is why we're not in the land today. But have we been disowned? Have we been cursed down? No. The God of Israel said, I'm with you. You are not alone. I'm with you in the exile. Shim, Master Jesus. You see? You see, sometimes folks need to just sit down and have a good talking to, so that they can really understand and see that God is not far off, but He's yet near. He's very close. Very close. Simha saying Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Kefa, Ribenim, and Mishpachah. Remember, understanding is wisdom that is above gold. Among all things, get wisdom. Get understanding. I'm sorry. Don't get wisdom. You need to get understanding. I'll let the Imhokma be wise. I'll just try to understand from the Imhokma. From the Ruach HaKadosh, from the set-apart spirit. She is Mother Wisdom. I'll just understand what Mother Wisdom is saying and then go apply it in my life. She's telling me today we're moving. Moving. We need to have a moving mentality. Some things you box up and you take with you. Other things you discard, you put in the bin. Some things you're going to wrestle with. You're not going to want to let go of. You're going to want to hang on to. Rabbi Bania is saying, Amen, Chief. Experiences in life indeed. Application. You see. We must go through the experiences. And some of these experiences may not be comfortable. They may be uncomfortable for you. But believe me, they're going to make you a better man, or they're going to make you a right man, or they're going to make you a right woman. That's what they're going to do. You need to look at the end goal. Don't look at what's staring you in the face. Project out the end goal. The end effect is to make you a better person. All of you are having experiences. All of you are having situations right now. You're all going through them. The question is, how are you faring? The question is, what tools are you using to help you get through? The question is, as someone stated, is how, what's your application for the situation? The Most Highest wants to elevate you. That's what we're told in our Torah. He wants to elevate you. That was his declaration, to elevate you above all peoples of the earth. How does that happen? We must have an understanding of people. We can't run around here hating people as the children of the books, as the children of the Most Highest, as the children of the living God. All of you play a role in that. Your world, your nation may just be your neighborhood. For some of you, your world, your nation is a country. It's a city. Because you get out, you travel, you interact with so many people. You get out and you see the world. See this great earth. While others may not never leave their city, may not never leave their country, may not never leave their state. That doesn't mean you can't be more, you still can be just as effective. Because you can. But it all starts with you filling in the blanks. Israel's history is already written. But there's still a lot of room for fill in the blank. That's where choice comes in. Decision-making processes come in. Where you decide. Today I want to do this. Today I'm going to do this. Today my actions are going to be this, and you actually act. And you don't say anything, but you let your actions speak for you this day. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, Master Jesus of Nazareth, for the great opportunities that are afforded to all of you, the many blessings that are afforded to all of us, to be in these proving grounds, so that we can be found acceptable in the eyes of the Most Highest. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing, Mishpachah. So when you petition for understanding, understanding will come to you at the level where you can understand. And then once you experience that understanding and you get checked off in that area, then guess what? You go to another level of understanding, another level of revelation. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. So this is why this room is open to all. Christian, Muslim, doesn't matter who you are. Atheist, it doesn't matter. It's open to all. Because then we go back and we examine level of understanding, level of revelation. And you can see in your spiritual mind, you look in your mind and you have your meter. That some folks, The level of understanding is not just there. You can't condemn them and put them down for that. But we must wait patiently on these people and meet them where they are with their level of understanding. And don't condemn them, but actually have compassion on them. Show love to them. Show that loving kindness to these people. Just because they don't understand, have that level of understanding that you have. You can't condemn them. Don't put them down. Don't see them as lesser than you are. Be merciful to these kind of people. And the God of Israel, the living God, will show mercy unto you. Think about that going forward. We must be true practitioners of our books. We must be true practitioners. Because a lot of folks are never going to open our books. The only book that they're going to see are your walk. I had one of my colleagues tell me this week. She said, "You are so encouraging." Well, Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, I'm not trying to be a discouragement to you. I'm going to always encourage you. You are so encouraging. Well, yeah, Baruch Hashem, Master Jesus. A Jew should be encouraged. I'm not here to tear you down. I'm here to build you up, make you strong. I give thanks and praise to the Most Highest. You let the Gentiles' let their words speak about you. Let them speak for you. I don't have to say I'm encouraging. I'll let them tell me I'm encouraging. Well, Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. And this colleague, I mean, she has all hell breaking loose in her life. Does she need to pour another helping of hell onto that? No. I'm going to give you the heaven. I'm going to encourage you and lift you up. How many women in this room would like to be told after you just had a baby by a man that he's dumping you because you're too fat? You just had the man's baby. What level of understanding this man has? My goodness. Put him on the understanding meter. Yeah, that's what she was told. This man went on and took another woman because the woman that he just had a baby with is too fat. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But yeah, just the level of understanding some men have. And I will tell you this. You know, we go back to the 40 years. I think for a man, now, I don't know when all of you men, if you don't mind me asking, men in the room, how many years have you been under the umbrella of the Torah? Just to get an idea. If you don't mind responding, men in the room, how many years have you been, under the umbrella of the Torah? Well, you said, I've taken the yoke of the Torah upon me, I've taken the oath, and I've been in the Torah X amount of years. J.B. Yashrael said, almost 3 years, J.B. Yashrael says. Any other men in the room? Rabbi Zachariah says 10 years. Any other men in the room? Anybody else want to respond? Don't be shy. We're family. Rabbi Hananiah says 10 years. Now think about this, men. Because I'm talking to the men here. Because, Torah talks to the men. Abrahu says 8 to 10 years. Tadav for that Abrahu. Rabbi Obadiah says 13 years. Now, let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. Abrahu Shiloh says 4 to 5 years. You see? The question was, Torah Walker, how many years have you been under the umbrella of the Torah? Hebrew 100 says 20 years. Now, for the men, that generation that went into the land, it took them 40 years to meet criteria to say to whether the Master Yeshua, the Master Yahweh says, Rabbi Benir says approximately 7 years, to where the Master says, okay, now you can come into the land. 40 years for that generation. So what does that tell us here? You think about that. What does that tell us? It's been 7 years for me as well, Rabbi Benir. going on 8. So what does that tell us? That tells us that what? That we have a ways to go. That we have plenty of time. That we still need to be proved and proven. That we're going to be tried and tested at some level. These tests are not going to be very difficult. But it's this experience that's important. And it's your reaction to the action. That's important. And until you get that action right, then that's when you move on to another level of understanding. Another level of revelation. But till then, you'll stay, that meter will stay put. This is how you need to understand. Understanding. You see, you don't move on to a deeper level of understanding. You don't peel away at the layers of understanding until you get checked off at the level where you're at. That's called maturity. That's called growth. And there's something about that number 40. Something about that number 40 in the Torah. Well, the 40-year mark. Okay, Israel is now mature enough and understands enough to meet the criteria to see the land. So for us screaming 10 years, 20 years, you see how much time we have left? You see how much time we have to grow? We're just babies. We're just babies right now, Mishpah. We're just babies. But that 40-year mark will mean a lot. Now, you may be saying, well, Rabbi, we're all at these different levels. This, that, some of us, 20 years, 10 years, 3 years, 4 years. Collectively as a whole, as Israel, you men of Israel, as I'm talking to the men of Israel now, is that the Abba has a number. Now that number 40 may be relative to the years that we've been under the umbrella of the Torah. But when we hit that number 40, that'll be the marker for, okay, now I need to gather my children from the four corners of this earth. Now it's time for the gathering. And I believe we're in that process now. We're in that process. Rabbi Zachariah says, I was 40 when I came into the Torah. That number 40 has significance. I can tell you this. How many of you men in this room, you were in your 40s when you came into the Torah? You don't have to be right at 40. Maybe you're 42, 43, 45. How many of you were in your 40s when you came into the Torah? You see? Think about that. How many were in your 40s? Abaru said, okay, I had to recalculate. I was immersed in 2012. So I would say 6 to 8, not 8 to 10. Okay, Abaru. I remember that, Abaru. I remember meeting you. I remember we did the immersion here in San Antonio. If I'm not mistaken, we were at the Guadalupe River. Baruch Hashem. Master Jesus. I remember. So in your 40s, so that 40 number is significant. It's very significant. Very significant number. Very significant. So I think these are things that we need to not forget, really look at the pattern, and really, with this pattern, what I really want you to understand today is that we must be patient. Because, is it fair to the rest of the world that you come into the Torah and now you're petitioning for the Abba to return? Is that fair? That's not fair to everybody else who may get revelation a little bit later on in life. Who may come into the understanding a little bit later on, or afforded the opportunity to get the revelation to come into understanding, because not everyone will. Not everyone will. Because again, we go back and look at the pattern. How many people that came out of Egypt looking like Mr. T, the Hebrews and the strangers that were among them, how many of those people actually saw and walked on the land flowing with milk and honey? How many went into the land? Think about that. That right there is amazing to me. And I scratch my head and I think, wow. So of the original, Abrahu is right. It's only 2 of the original. Thousands that came out. Only 2. Boy, that's instructional. There's some deep understanding in that as well. But let's just keep the understanding on the surface. 2 is 2. 2 is 2 yesterday, 2 is 2 today, and 2 will be 2 forever. Only 2. My goodness. My goodness. So you men in the room, you may want to look at having some children, some sons. Some sons. When we look at this pattern, you may want to look at having some sons. That's going to be important. Some daughters is good too. I'm not hating on the daughters. I love the daughters. We may want to look at having some sons. We may want to look at having some sons going forward. So yeah, that's where we are. Now a few things I want to discuss. I want to talk about today. HaKohen, as you know, he's in travels, but he did record his lecture, and I have it queued up, and we'll fire up his lecture in a minute. But I want to talk about kosher for a minute. How many of you heard the news about kosher? The big circle K, the capital K, kosher. Have any of you been paying attention to what's going on with the kosher meat? Well, guess what? Some of these kosher meats are being pulled off the shelves today. Do you want to know why, Mishpachah? They're finding E. coli in the kosher meat. Wow, cover your mouth. Cover your mouth. They're finding E. coli in kosher meats. Now, is that not an oxymoron, or is there something wrong with the so-called kosher? Remember, HaKohen did a teaching on this way back, the son of Aaron. And he told you what about kosher? Bah humbug to that kosher. Now, I'm going to put it out to you straightforward. I'm going to straight talk. I'm going to, in memory of John McCain, I'm going to be a straight shooter. Straight talk. Is that kosher is not all what it's cracked out to be. E. coli in kosher meat? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Mishpachah? No, I'm talking about John McCain, the senator that had passed. He passed, I think, last Saturday. He passed last Shabbat. Great senator. But he ran for president a couple of times. And the theme for his election, his presidential election run, was straight talk, or straight shoot, or something like that. So all this kosher foolishness is just that. People making money off of kosher, off of meat. They're just making money off of meat, charging you these ridiculous prices so you can do what? So you can get a coli, get sick, and die? The report was that several folks have died from this as well. So they're pulling this meat, this kosher meat. I'm not saying all of it, but some of this meat here in America is being pulled, so-called kosher. You see? So it's better for you to go get your halal meat. It's better for you to go get your meat from the Christians. Go get it. As the instruction given by the sons of Aaron, it's okay. Go get it. E. coli? Are you kidding me? Yes, permissible meats. Let me clear that up. Tada for that, Abrahu. Because I don't want you all saying, well, Rabbi Kefa said I can go eat the pork chops today. We're having pork chops for dinner, honey. No. Permissible meats. So I think it's very, very important for you to understand that going forward. Very important. Very, very important. Is there a law that says you cannot sell pork? No, there's not a law that says you cannot sell pork. If you have to sell pork to put meat on your table for your children and your wife, and to provide a roof over your head and clothes on the back for your children, there is no problem with you selling pork to the Gentiles. None whatsoever. You sell Porky Pig from the rooter to the tutor. If that's what they like, because that's what they're into, you do it. If that's going to put meat on your table, you do it. And I mean the permissible meat, by the way. So these are things that we have to look at and examine going forward. I was like, well, here it goes. Kosher's being exposed for what kosher really is. It's just folks making money off the laws of Moses at the end of the day, period. And now they're being exposed, you see. What about the Jews selling it to Jews? Well, if some Jews want to eat pork, you sell it to the Jews, no problem. If some Jews, and I know some Jews do eat pork, so you sell it to them. They want to buy it, you sell it to them, no problem. You didn't force them to put that pork in their mouth. So yeah, no problem. You sell it to them. Just like you sell it to the Gentiles, you sell it to the Jews. You see? What about charging interest on loans? Well, what does Torah say about that? You tell me what the Torah says. That's right out of the Torah. You can read that right out of our books. You see? Not to. Exactly. Then don't. You know, Torah is black and white on that. It's black and white. That's clear as day. You don't do that. You can charge interest on Gentiles, but you can make loans with your fellow Jews and not charge it. So I think that's important to understand. So what does God do to those Jews in Israel? Those Jews in Israel follow. Well, I'm not God. I don't claim to be God. I'll let God be God. And whatever he does to them, that's what he does. Me, I'm going to be merciful to these people. I'm going to show loving kindness to these people, and I'm going to show compassion to all peoples. That's my role. I'm going to stay in my place. And that's my role to do. We're not here to be judge and jury, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to condemn people and put them down for whatever actions that they do. At the end of the day, they're filling in their blanks. You know, and them filling in their blanks to their life story has nothing to do with me. All I'm going to do is show them love and compassion and kindness and be merciful to these people. That's what I want to do. You see, I'm not going to be judgmental because I don't want judgments coming down on me. I do want compassion. I do want mercy. I do want loving kindness coming down on me. So then I'm going to exude these very same things that I want given to me, that I want afforded to me. Then I'm gonna dish out those very same attributes, and we should all be doing the same thing. This is why I had to bring up this kosher. I saw this on the news. I was like, my goodness. I saw this on the news. I was like, my goodness. What is that telling us about this Circle K? You see? This capital K. It's all a big bunch of pig water. That's just what it is. Believe me, the Most Highest, your concern is to make sure that you're eating permissible meats. Just like I think Abrahu helped us with that as well. The permissible meats is what's important. Make sure there's no blood in it to the best of your ability. Are you going to get 100% out of the blood out of the animal? I think that's impossible. This is where mercy comes in. This is where the grace of the Most Highest comes into play. You're doing the best that you can do, Mishpachah. You see? You're doing the best that you can do. Rabbi, what is the understanding of the birth of Jesus on earth? Jesus walked the earth, and he was born. He was a man. Baruch Hashem. That's it. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. He walked the earth. He walked the earth as a man. As a man. Just like you and me. He was a man. Great. He did great works. And he left great examples for us to follow. And he gave us great words to live by. And he told us to go back to the laws of Moses. You see? So, Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. You see? That's awesome. So, Joseph was his biological father. Joseph was his father. Joseph was his father. Isn't that what we're told in our books? It was his father. We leave it at that. It was his father. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get into the science. I'm not going to get into all I'm not going to get into all that. We must keep things simple. You see? Now, here's the question. Whether Joseph was Jesus' biological father or not, what does it have to do with your salvation? See, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Let's get to the grits and the greens here. How does that affect your rescue? How does that affect your deliverance? How does that affect you serving the Most Highest? How does that affect that at the end of the day? You see, a lot of times our questions are just like, have no relevance to, how we need to live our lives today in 2018 going forward. You see, that's what's important. I appreciate your question, though. I appreciate it. If you have Truth Be Break, it's answered in there as well. If you don't have them, I'd encourage you to get the Hidden Truth Be Break scrolls. You listen via YouTube as well. Make sure you get this Bible. This Bible will really help in your biblical studies and really give you an understanding of how the ancient Hebrews really lived. You see, that really will give you a great understanding on that. So make sure you get those Hidden Truth Be Break scrolls. You can purchase them on Amazon.com. You see, I think that's very important. So I think it's very, very important for you to understand. Very, very important at the end of the day. So, yeah, I wanted to bring that point up about the kosher. So some of you will understand that, the son of Aaron, he did a lecture on this a while back. And he gave great instruction on kosher. Because let's face it, how many of you can afford a $26 chicken? Yeah, they may say it's got that little symbol on it, but you get a $26 chicken to get Ebola, to get E. coli and have all kind of issues with your intestines. You see, how many of you can afford 3 or 4 $26 chickens, $20 chickens? Or, can you go to a Walmart or your Costco's or to your Hillel store and get a chicken for $5 or $6? I mean, come on, man. Let's be reasonable. You see? Yeah, $26 chicken. A $26 chicken better cook, clean, and do dishes in my place. You see? That's the kind of, better mow the lawn and do all that kind of stuff. For $26? My goodness. It better take out the trash, Reba Vanilla. A $26 chicken? Are you kidding me? It better go in there and make me some chicken wings. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, $26? Come on, man. We got to be realistic here. We're supposed to get on. We're supposed to get on in these nations. We can't get on, when our wallets are empty because we're trying to serve the Most Highest and it's breaking the bank. That's not right. That's not just. That's not fair. And last time I checked, when we want to just and right and fair, then we must look at, mercy. We must side on compassion, and we must be realistic in today's time. A $26 chicken, are you kidding me? Come on, man. It's ridiculous. But again, utilizing the Torah, woe unto you for taking the Torah of Moshe and utilizing it to make profit. Woe unto you. Twisting it to make profit, to make a gain. Well, as you see, everything that's done in the dark will be brought to the light. Now, these people have been exposed. They've been exposed for who they really are. A bunch of shysters. You see, for who they really are. They've been exposed. So now, your meat has E. coli in it. Are you kidding me? This is supposed to be super chicken. So the kosher mumbo jumbo. My goodness, they're pulling your kosher mumbo jumbo meat off the shelves. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, Master Jesus of Nazareth for that. You see? Now, here's a question going forward before I get into, before I fire up and cue up HaKohen's lecture. Here's a question going forward that I need to ask you today, and I think it's very important. Important question. Who is a chosen person of God? That's the question. I'll say it again for those of you who may not have heard very clearly. Who is a chosen person of God? No riddles. This is an important question. Rabbi Zachariah is saying $200 katan without any blue in it. Oh, indeed, Rabbi Zachariah. Indeed. And then how much of the katans we sell here at Forever Israel? My goodness. It's pebbles. And I tell you, our katans are much more realistic, much more comfortable, much more reliable, and much more affordable. A lot of them bowls that make them, and much more beautiful as well, I would say. And I guess I'm being partial, but I would say they're much more beautiful as well. Very durable. Oh, they're very durable. They can withstand some testings of time. So yeah, Baruch Hashem for the Chokmah giving me the commandment of the tzitzis in 28. Well, this was back 2016. And it's coming to fruition, you see. So back to the question at hand. Is who are the chosen people of God? Think about that question for a minute. We look at 2018. Now, I want you to open your minds up a little bit. Don't get narrow-minded, but I want you to, just like the earth is round, I want you to, utilize all of this earth in this roundness. Who are the chosen people of God? At the end of the day, us Hebrew Israelites are the chosen ones. Says Yajan. Rabbi Zechariah says those who obey him. Rabbi is agreeing with the $200. Yeah, the $200. I tell you, it's crazy. But again, you see, these are folks that are making profit off of Torah, not trying to get you in compliance, but they're actually trying to make profit off of you. And what does the God of Israel do? He says, okay, take your capital K and let me put some excrement on it, because that's what E. coli really is, for those of you who don't know. I'm giving you the medical term of E. coli, but you know what E. coli really is? Can anybody tell me what E. coli really is so people will know? Because I want all of you to get and understand what E. coli really is. Do you know what E. coli really is? Can anybody tell me? Let me put it this way. You find it in your stool. I'll put it to you this way. You find it in your stool. It's waste. It's vicious, and it's found in your waste. So this is what is being exposed about the so-called kosher meats out there. Think about that going forward, Mishpahah. So this is the sad part. Yeah, it's filth. And this is the sad part, is that they're trying to make money. The agenda is not to get you in compliance with the God of Israel, but to actually profit off the most highest. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I even said that. That someone would try to profit off of the most highest. Well, newsflash, there's people doing it all the time. Now I understand that there's charges and stuff. I mean, just like the katans that we make here for Ever Israel. Yeah, then look, there's a lot of fees. There's a lot of again, it takes money to make these katans. They just don't show up in an Amazon box, dropped from the heavens in a drone. No, it doesn't happen that way. It takes money, resources to put these materials to make this happen. I actually got some new ones coming out for those who travel to the east. For those who travel to the east, I got some new ones coming out that are not going to have the Star of David flag on it, on the sides and on the back tab, but are actually going to have our menorah on it with Forever Israel on it. It's being, as I speak, they're being printed right now, and I'm going to put that into work as well. And believe me, we're launching, I think early next year, end of this year, Gregorian year, we'll be launching the website. You see, because what's important is that we wear the katan, but we wear it right. That it's right. And just like Rabbi Benil was talking about, Rabbi Zechariah, he was saying, well, there's no blue thread in the zizi. So where's the commandment? What's the commandment with the zizi? What is the commandment with the fringe? That we must have the blue thread. So again, you're going to pay $200 to be non-compliant with the most highest? No way. No how. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. You see, I think it's very important that we understand that. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do that. My goal is to bring us into compliance and let the whole world know what is right. You can't walk upright unless you walk in right. So are we doing? Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Oh, it has these nice colors, and this thread is made of this fine, this, that, the other, and the third. But at the end of the day, are you in compliance? Are we doing what's right in the sight of God, not in the sight of man? I want to be doing what's right in the sight of God. I don't want to stand before the Most Highest and say, well, yeah, Abba, I may not have been in compliance, but I tell you, I paid $200 for it, and I worked about 3 weeks to get this thing with my paychecks, and so please take that into consideration. The Most High is going to say, get out of my face. You're not in compliance. What does my word say? You see? I mean, that's important to understand. Torah Walker saying, speaking of Catans, I really would love what you've done with the Catans that you sent Rabbi Benia. I will be putting in my order for a dozen, so look for me to hit you up. Oh, believe me, they'll be ready. Stay tuned. We're coming out with some with our manure on them as well, and believe me, they'll last you a long time. They're gonna believe me. They're gonna last you a long time. Of course, the Mishpachah, you get a discount. You guys are going to get a discount rate on the price, of course, because you're family. But everybody else out there on the website, they're going to get, I'm going to charge them just desserts because, it costs money to put these things together. Reva Vania saying, while in Trinidad last week, I noticed that the police officers had the Star of David on their uniforms and head coverings. Very interesting indeed, as many of our people are scattered there. Yes. My first wife, Reba Vania, was from Trinidad, Tobago. So yes, I'm very familiar with that as well. Beautiful island down there, and yes, our people, Israel, is truly dispersed to the four corners of this earth. Truly are. Except just a lot of them just don't have the revelation and don't have the understanding of who they really are as of yet. Some may never get it. Some may die not getting it. But Baruch Hashem, for those that do receive the revelation of understanding and begin to go back and walk in the ancient past and the ancient forever ways of their forefathers, of our forefathers. That's the beauty of it. The beauty of the exile. Some will die not knowing. Some will die in the, they would die, not knowing. But who's to say that, because, that they're sons of Abraham, I firmly believe the Abba will show mercy and grace unto them. Because how are you going to condemn somebody on judgment when they never knew? How are you going to... See, this is why sometimes, ignorance card is a good card to play. This is why I tell all of you folks, don't go around here telling everybody, that they're going to hell or that they need to go back and serve the God of Israel. Because once they reject that, you forward their revelation and they reject it, then they're held accountable for that. You understand what I'm saying? So them playing the ignorance card, saying, well, oh yeah, God, living God created me. I would have loved to have served you, but nobody ever told me about you. That's favorable to their judgment, believe me. Opposed to them saying, well, yeah, I remember that person coming up to me and telling me about you, but I rejected you. I didn't receive you. I didn't receive the revelation of the laws of Moses at the time. Matter of fact, I made a mockery of it because that person told me, and I laughed about it, and I made a mockery of your. And guess what? You just made their judgment worse. So in this instance, sometimes having the ignorance card. This is why I always say institute the duct tape method. Just zip it up. You walk your walk, and let your walk talk. And then those that, will gravitate towards you will be those that, have some form of DNA or sincerity for the very creator of the heavens and the universe and only want to really obey him and want to, extol him with their lives, through the way that they live, not what they say, but how they live their life. And Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, Master Jesus of Nazareth for that. That will only be few. I'm telling you right now, that's not going to be many. When we look at the whole earth, this whole world, that will only be a few. So what do we do with other people here on this earth? We love them. We show compassion to them. We show long suffering for them. We show respect to these people. As Aretha Franklin says, show respect. Give them respect. Show kindness to them. This is what we do. We don't judge them on a Torah standard. When they're Gentiles, how are you going to judge a Gentile on a Torah standard? They have no clue of Torah. But yet that's what many of us are doing, ignorantly. We telling them they're going to go to hell. How do we know? We're being very judgmental. Oh, you don't keep the Sabbath. Well, they're Gentiles. They don't have to keep the Sabbath. You see what I'm saying? You see, you're throwing laws on these people that are not for them. You're condemning them for eating pork. I'm not condemning my sister who loves to eat pork chop sandwiches. I'm not going to condemn her for ordering pork when we go out and eat. How am I going to condemn her? She's a Christian. They do that. Yes, I will order her pork chop sandwich for her. I will pay for it. No problem. That's showing compassion. That's showing love. While I over here be happy eating my, T-bone steak. Very happy. No problem. You see? No problem. I'm not gonna condemn people. We're not here to do that. We're here to be a light. We're not here to diminish light. We're here to exude light to the nations. Well, how are we going to do that when we have everybody angry at us? Because we're always telling them, you're going to hell. You're going to hell because you eat pork. You're going to hell because you don't keep the Sabbath. You see, what is that? What is that? Yeah, Jen says, I'm kosher my chicken as we speak. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. I got a big one lined up in there as well. Salted, got it salted down. Drawn as much blood out of it as I can, and so be it. And I'm going to enjoy my kosher chicken in my kosher kitchen. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. Simha saying Baruch Hashem. Truth is coming out on many areas of our lives in daily living. Truth can be tried and tested. Truth can afford to be fair. It will eventually surface to the light for us as we stand before the Torah and Hashem, the creator of the heavens and the universe and this earth, by the way. Yeah. So I think it's very, very important that we understand. Very, very important that we do understand Mishpachah. That we do have an understanding. And I know that's what we are, trying to get that ground roots, that basic level of understanding, and then grow from there. Then we can get deeper into this Torah and begin to understand it. But we have to be the trendsetters. We're the Torah trendsetters. We must do it. And it's through our actions. You don't have to say anything. Just go out and live this Torah. Stand and be upright. And those that gravitate toward you is for a reason. It's because they're seeking the facts. They're seeking these hidden treasures that you must seek out. Well, they can't find the hidden treasures if they don't see the hidden treasures exemplified before their very eyes. In an example, everybody else hates this person, but you love him. Why? Everybody else is talking about this person at the water cooler, but you're not. Why? Everybody else is condemning this person, but you defend this person. Why? You see? So I think it's important to understand that. See? That's very important. Let me restrict you. We're not here to talk about the third temple. At the end of the day, what does the third temple have to do with your rescue? Think about that. What does that have to do with your rescue? If you don't believe in it, you don't believe that, what does it have to do with your rescue? We have to get back to what's important. How do we be found pleasing in the sight of the Most Highest today? How do we do that? That's what we need to be looking at. See, all of these other things are commentary. But what's important is how do we find favor in the Most Highest eyes? What do we need to do? And this parsha begins to talk about that, the do's and don'ts. And let's for a minute, before I start HaKohen's lecture, back to this question that's so very pertinent. This pertinent question: Who is a chosen person of God? Who is a chosen person of God? I want you to meditate on that and think about that, and I'll pick that up when I start my lecture up. But I really want you to meditate on that and think about that. Who is a chosen person of God? Who is that chosen person? Is it based on who your mama is? Is it based on your DNA? What is it based on? Who is that chosen person of God? Think about that going forward. Think about that going forward. If there's anyone, also, before I start Hakuin's lecture, if you would like to give testimony, you want to give esteem to the Abba for past miracles, any great works that have happened these past 6 days of labor, knowing, just like what Michael Jackson said, that the Abba, you're not alone. The Abba's always with you. And you'll see him demonstrated and executed. You've seen that experience in your life, and you just want to extol the name of the Most High. You want to give thanks for, healing your body, healing your finances, healing your health, healing your relationships. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. Please feel free to either text in your messages, or if you want the mic, I even give you the mic right now, and you can, give your testimony to the family, to the Mishpachah, and then we'll keep it moving forward. Yajan says, the one who keeps the commandments. Okay. The ones who keep the commandments are the ones who are chosen of God. To your response, Yajan, I'll say this. What about the ones who keep? Okay, if it's the ones that keep the commandments, what about the ones that keep the covenants? What about the ones that don't keep the statutes, the laws, the ordinances? What about these ones? You see, is it the ones that just keep the commandments? Is it just the ones that keep the 10 words, as we say, the 10 statements? Or does it go deeper than that? Or is it even more simplistic than that? You see, as the Rabbi Yeshua, the Rabbi Jesus of Nazareth, the Master Jesus of Nazareth, what did he say? When those that were experts in the Torah came to him and said, what is the greatest of all commandments? What is the greatest? What is the thing that we need to do to really make sure, and I'm paraphrasing, that we need to give thanks to? What is the what is the thing that we need to do to, see the kingdom of heaven? What is the greatest of all commandments? The greatest thing that we can do. So Rabbi Bani is saying, I give thanks to the Most High for his traveling mercies during the past 3 months, and being able to meet many people who have been an increase in my life, as well as I in theirs, to theirs. Baruch Hashem, Master Jesus, Master Yeshua. Abrahu says, love thy God with all of thy heart and thy soul. Eddie's 10 says, I give esteem to the Abba, Yahweh, and Master Yeshua for a favored and blessed and increased trip to the east, to Rabbi HaKohen and his example, and Rabbi Kefa. Oh, Baruch Hashem, you go to the east? Baruch Hashem. I've had the east come to the west, so I have, my base is east and west. Baruch Hashem, Master Jesus. That's a true miracle. Every morning, every night, I turn to the side and look at this miracle, and I give thanks to the Abba for bringing the east to the west, and for having the west and the east, because I literally have the best of both worlds, and I give thanks to the Master Yeshua. I give thanks to HaKohen, the son of Aaron, for making it all possible. But also, I look back on what I had to do. Like someone stated earlier, you got to put in that legwork. I literally had to go to China. I had to go there. And I tell you, that changed my life, Eddie's 10. And I know those sentiments are with you as well. Those same sentiments, because it'll change. It's life changing. It's just such a different way of life over there, and you meet different kind of people, and you experience different experiences, and you just like Rabbi Bani, I'm pretty sure down there in the islands there, down in the Caribbean, it's the same way. You meet different people, and you experience different, and you understand that humanity is such a beautiful place. This world is such a beautiful world that people think is so evil, and they have all these conspiracy theories, when at the end of the day, humanity rules and reigns, and humanity is a beautiful people. And we've been given dominion over this earth. And you see the beauty and all of these creations that the Most Highest has created. And it's a wonderful thing. This is why I always tell you, if you can get out and travel, please do so. It may not be going to the east, it may be going to the south. It may be going to the Caribbean. It may be going to the north, to Canada. I was talking to a woman the other day. She was in the post office. She was like, yeah, I'm getting my passport and I'm going to go to Canada. I was like, great. Enjoy yourself in Canada. Have a great trip. So this is great. Get out and travel. Get out and see this world, and you'll see how beautiful people really are. You'll really see it. You'll see it for yourself. You'll really see it. Rabbi Benir says so many diverse cultures in Trinidad, going back indeed. Oh yes, so many diverse. And you want to talk about a mixing? Trinidad is a mixing pot of so many different kind of nationalities. It's unbelievable. Everybody had their finger in the cookie jar. My goodness. I went down there myself, Rabbi Benir, there in Jamaica were my 2 stops in the Caribbean. I've been to Trinidad and Tobago, and I've been to Jamaica, and I tell you, mixing pot, melting pot, and you just experience all the experiences, and you chalk it up as wonderful experiences about this greater that we've been given dominion over. And so you must get out and see it, Mishpah. I'd encourage you all to do so. To offer your responses and giving thanks to the Abba on this Shabbat day, where He's closest to His people, and heavens hears you today, especially. So please do give esteem and continue doing the great works that you're doing. And now we'll listen in. I'll afford this time to cue up HaKohen's lecture. If you could, just let me know if you can hear it when I do fire it up, so I can make adjustments with the volume or anything that I need to do on that end as we move forward. But remember the question too as well. Who are God's chosen people? In your opinion, who do you think are God's chosen people? And we'll pick that up on the backside after we listen to the son of Aaron, his lecture, and his words and his instruction. I'll tell you this. I can say this about his travels thus far, is that many revelations have been revealed to him, and many lessons, life lessons, also as well, have been revealed to him as well. And I tell you, he's getting some great experience on the ground. There's nothing like being on the ground, Mishpah. There's nothing like it in the world, And you all in your relationships, albeit, maybe it's just phoning or just text messaging or just emails. Make it a point as soon as you can to get yourself on the ground, to see that man, and to see if everything he says is really what is behind the man, and to see that woman, and vice versa. And I think that's so important to do, because life is just, you sum up life as a relationship, because that's just what it is. Life is just one big relationship. So we need to learn how to get on with our relationships. That's what's important going forward. Okay? So let's listen in to, I'm going to cue up, on that note, I'm going to cue up to HaKohen, son of Aaron. I'm going to cue his lecture. And please let me know if you can't hear it. I can make adjustments on this end with the volume. No worries. Okay? Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha.
Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Alter of Kohen. I'm speaking from the east. I'm right now in Pakistan on my travels. So before I speak about the favor, the abundant blessings that have come my way, and the way that the mighty God that we serve has revealed Himself to me, I will give you my joke of the week. As is custom, a minister was told by his congregation, next week I plan to preach about the sin of lying. To help you understand my sermon, I want you to all read Mark chapter 17. So the following Sunday, as he prepared to deliver his sermon, the minister asked for a show of hands. He wanted to know how many had read Mark chapter 17. Everybody's hand went up, right up in the air. Then the minister smiled and said, Mark, the book of Mark has only 16 chapters. I will now proceed with my sermon on the sin of lying. Now, as you know that I'm in travels and I have come to the East. I was in the Middle East not too long ago. Just yesterday I departed from the Middle East. This was an unexpected plan. I hadn't planned to come to Pakistan, by the way. This is totally unexpected and not being planned by myself. I will illustrate as I go along how God has been working in this last week or so in my life, and as the history develops. Now, I was in the Middle East in a country called Qatar. You can look it up on the map, and I was in the city of Doha. Now, it is situated by the Gulf region. It is, not far from the Persian Ocean, next to Iran, Pakistan, Dubai, Kuwait, all these, countries, Saudi Arabia. They're not that far from here. They're pretty close together. They're like only a throw away. The Gulf is over here, and you could get on a boat and go in either direction. You could get a plane and go in any direction. This is like a major hub. Planes from here go to the Far East, to places like Manila, to Australia and China, or you could head towards Europe. Europe is not so far away from here, about 6 hours or so. You could land in France, and about 7 hours you could land in England. And also you could head towards America from here. I believe there's flights coming from Dallas, and also from places such as Houston, depart this way as well, and probably Chicago too. So this is a major international hub. So from there, I had really no plans to travel further east. But as the situation develops, as you know, we plan one thing and the Lord plans another. So we think we're going to do one way, but the Master Yahweh, Master Yeshua, has another plan in our life. But before I go further into the lecture, my lecture is titled Pity Party. Stop the Pity Party. That is my lecture's title. And but I want to tell you something of great interest. Doha is not one of those places where you feel very comfortable in the summer, because I kind of came over here in the month of August, which is probably one of the hottest months, and the temperatures shot up to about 105. It was very, very humid. It was very, very hot. It doesn't matter whether you go outside in the daytime or nighttime, extremely hot. So I was out, and the first day, God prepared one dove before me. God sent a dove in my path. I never seen a dove before, by the way. So I saw a physical dove there descend, and then after that, God sent 2 more doves. Then I saw 2 more doves, so I saw about 3 doves. Then I realized at that point, this is a sign from God. He is directing my path, and I need to be in total shalom, total peace, because things are going to get about shaky, things are going to start shaky, and I need to be prepared, because I knew at that point that it wasn't going to be as I had planned it. So, and exactly, there was a dog in the street as I was walking down the road or the pathway. There was a dog that was barking at people coming up his side. And as I passed by the dog went completely silent. He was barking at other people, but did not bark at me. So I remembered the Pasha, I remembered the Torah portion that speaks about our sojourn in Egypt, when we came out of Egypt, and God had said to us that a dog will not bark at you. So I remembered that at this time, that the Lord God of Israel is with us on our side, and needn't fear. Whatever will come, He will handle it. In life, we have many difficulties. In life, you will go on, and you will come at difficult junctures. You will plan one thing, and something else will happen. You will be dismayed. You will be downcast. You will be disheartened. You will be disappointed. What do you do when you're disappointed in life? You look up. You give thanks to the God of Israel. You give thanks to the Master Yeshua, who is the Lord our God. And once you give thanks to Him, you don't remain depressed, you don't remain downcast, and you don't become disappointed. And you will say to me, Rabbi, but this has happened to me, and I am disappointed, and I don't know what to do, and I was meant to do this, and this person did that, and now what I'm going to do? Now look at me. See, these things will come to you. But these are the moments that your faith has to be very strong. Your faith has to be uplifted. These are the moments that you give thanks to God. You give thanks to Him for your life. Very first thing you do, you give thanks to God. You give thanks for your life, and you thank Him for your health, and you thank Him for the blessings He's given you all these lives, and you count your blessings. You look back, and you can tell, you can say, Lord, you gave me a blessing. At this time, you did this for me. At this time, you did this for me. And at this time, you did this for me. And I thank you for it. And I love you for it. And I know that my situation right now is temporary. I know that I'm going through this difficulty, but I know my problems are small. I'm not going to magnify my problems. I'm going to magnify you. You are the great God I serve. You are the mighty Yahweh I serve, and you're the one I look up to. So I'm going to put my problem on your altar. The thing that you love the most, the thing that is now distracting you, the thing that is now disappointing you, you put that on the altar, spiritual altar of the Creator of the heavens and the earth, Master Yeshua. Put it on His altar, and you tell God that I'm putting the very thing I love, the very disappointment that you had, I'm going to put it on the altar. And I'm going to let you be in charge. I'm not going to be in charge. I'm going to let you be in charge, and you will direct my steps, and you will tell me what to do, and you will tell me where to go. This is what you must do. Whenever problem strikes, whenever disappointment comes, you don't just sit there and say, oh, pity me, oh, what I'm going to do, oh, what's happening, why is this happening to me, why me, Lord, why did you choose me to do that? You see, instead of complaining, we have two choices. We can complain, or we can give thanks, and we can hand our complaints, hand our problems, hand our disappointments to the God we serve. Now our Parsha today is Parsha's Kitao, and it says, and it shall be, when you have come into the land, which Yahweh your power is about to give you for an inheritance, and possess it and dwell in it. The emphasis is inheritance on three words: inheritance, possession, and dwelling. These are the three key words in this Parsha that I'm going to focus on, because a lot of the times, a lot of our people are not focused on what is important in life. The reason being because you dwell on other things are not important. You will tell me, Rabbi, this has happened. I can't get a job. I've got an illness. I've got a negative report. My wife don't love me. My children swearing at me. Everything that should be is opposite. I hear that all the time. I'm not making this up. I hear it all the time. I get phone calls from believers. They're phoning me, they're sending me emails, they're text messaging me, they're doing all sorts of things to connect with me from all over the world. And they tell me, I have this problem, this has gone wrong, Rabbi, this has happened. But not just that, not just problems. I also get believers giving me thanks, telling me that life is great, that the Lord is blessing them, that this thing has happened for a blessing in their life, and that they followed that direction I gave them, and they are doing wonderful, amazing things. I get reports of amazing things. I get reports of negativity from people, depression, heartache. I get reports of great things happening in their life, and wonderful opportunities coming up that they never thought possible. So, our joke today was on the joke of sin of lying. And chapter 17, of course, of Mark doesn't exist, which is true. And so we mustn't lie to ourselves. You see, lying causes us like a shield. It builds a shield in front of us. It stops us in our track, and it stops our future, so to speak. And you might wonder, Rabbi, but how is he going to stop my future? How is this going to stop my future? Well, you might think, am I going to speak a lie from the mouth? Now listen to this. You're lying to yourself. When you lie to yourself, you have now put your future on hold. Everything has become hazy. I was in Doha, in Qatar, and I would go out and my glasses would steam up. It was so much humidity over there, and I was like, my goodness, this place is so humid, and hardly air to breathe. And I thought to myself, yeah, I am in the desert. I'm not exactly in Southern California, or in sunny Florida, in the land of milk and honey. I'm not exactly there. I'm not exactly in the land of the always bright sunshine, and where God has placed His Levite. I'm not there. So having said that, I was like amused when I see these things happening, and I was like, no problem, that is great. This is what it is. I'm in the desert. This is the land of the sons of Abraham. I give thanks to Him, and I glorify His name, and I move on, because that's what we must do. You don't magnify your issue, you don't magnify your problems, you don't lie to yourself. When you lie to yourself, you say, what is a lie to myself? Oh, I'm down. Oh, pity me. Oh, this my wife has sworn at me, and my sons are calling me names and every curse word in the Urban Dictionary. These are the lies. I mean, of course they're calling you names. Of course your wife is not respecting you. She don't love you. She don't value you. This may be happening. But the lie is that you tell yourself, I'm a nothing. Oh, I'm a loser. Oh, they said that to me. Oh, all those words, because your sons curse you, they call you names, and you believe it. Your wife curses you, you believe it. That is the lie that you have put in yourself. You have believed other people's foolish talk, lies, for yourself. You have believed a lie. You have now put this haze, this kind of partition in front of you, a partition of cloud in front of you. Now you can't see. You can't see where you're going. You don't have direction in your life. You are miserable. You're disappointed. You're sitting there. And this, by the way, I'm speaking in the spirit. This lecture today is for somebody out there who is right now in this situation. Right now is facing these trials. These are trials. My friends, my family, these are trials. We go through trials and we must overcome them. We don't magnify the trial. We magnify our God. If we magnify our God, the trial is nothing. The trial will pass. You will come through with favor, victory, abundance. That is why I wanted to focus in the Torah of Moses, the holy words of the God we serve. I wanted to focus on that, on the words that I told you were inheritance. God has our inheritance. God has already allotted our inheritance in our life. We know that eventually, in the future, doesn't matter when, we will go back to our land of our forefathers. That is a given. That is our inheritance. Now, we also know, remember that for the 12 tribes of Israel, the inheritance is a land. But also remember, for the Kohanim, for the Levites, the inheritance is the Lord God. So I already have my inheritance. I'm not looking forward to the land so much, but I am already with my inheritance. My inheritance is wherever I go. Anywhere in the world is my inheritance. So therefore, I give thanks to Him that the Lord, the God, is my inheritance. But when He will take me wherever He wants, if He wants to take me to the east, He takes me to the east. If He wants to take me to the west, He takes me to the west. I give thanks at all times. And when He will restore us back, then I will give thanks for the third temple that will be built in Israel. And we will be there. See, He's given us our inheritance. Now, a lot of you are living in North America. Some of you are living in Europe. Others of you are living in the east. Some of you are living in the other countries in the Western Europe. So you might be listening into this broadcast from those places. That is your present inheritance. That is the land where the Lord, our God, has placed you. So if He's placed you there, what do? You give thanks. And what does He say? Possess it. It doesn't tell you to leave that place and disappear and sell your home and follow some group and head to Israel and try to make it yourself. Don't ever do that. Don't ever try to force a possession of the land of Israel by force. Don't ever think about that. Don't ever do that. You are to be with your inheritance where God has placed you. If God has placed you in North America, that is your inheritance. That is the land of milk and honey for you. If God has placed you in France, that is your inheritance. That is the land of milk and honey. You possess it. What's the next word? Possess it. Possess it. This is your home. Guard it. Love it. Give thanks for it. And pray for the government of your country. Don't despise the government. I see a lot of people in North America despising the government of the country. Do not despise the government of your country. The government is placed by the Lord our God. That is the government that is placed. The government is not placed by happenstance. He placed it. He allowed it. You might think, oh, it was from democracy. Oh, a voting happened and it came. I will tell you, vote or no vote. That government is placed by the mighty hand of God. And no one can remove it. It will be only removed when He removes it. So, love it. Respect it. Agree with it. You may not agree with everything that Mr. Trump, our president, does in America, and that can happen because a lot of our people over there are really against, and not just our people, other people, really against Mr. Trump. They hate him. They hate every fiber in Mr. Trump. But I will tell you this much, that Mr. Trump has been appointed. This is an appointment by God, the mighty hand of God. I respect Mr. Trump. He's our president. And by respect, I don't just mean a verbal respect. I have to show humility. I love him as our president. Yeah, you heard that right. I love him as our president. If God had placed another person, then I'll do the same to that person. So the country that I left, England, the prime minister over there, when I left, it was a different man that was prime minister. Because we don't have presidents in England, we have prime ministers. So it was a different prime minister. But after I left, then Theresa May became the prime minister of England. And I love Theresa May. She's the prime minister of England. I spent many years there. And the mighty hand of God has placed her there. She's not by happenstance. You might think democracy. I think no, God. You see, my thinking is totally different to your thinking or other people's thinking. Because I see the hand of God in these appointments. Pakistan, new Prime Minister, Imran Khan. Nobody ever saw it coming, but it happened. He thrashed every party and he became the Prime Minister. How is that possible? Hand of God, the mighty hand of God. That's the only way. That's the only way he could thrash every party. Not because he went out, spoke to the people, he put out leaflets. No. If he done none of that, if he just sat in his chair, in his home, God will still bring him in as Prime Minister. That is what I believe. Now I'm not saying that you don't go out. If you're a politician, I'm not saying that you don't go out and you don't canvass. Of course you will canvass. Of course you will do the necessary, because that is what's called faith. When you have trouble in your life, what is faith? You stand up and you do the right thing and you follow through. When you're praying for a house, let's say that you're praying for a house, what do? You just pray for a house? Or do you actually do something about it? No, because the next step of faith to make it realize that dream in your heart, to have your own home, is to, maybe you'll buy a plot of land. Maybe you'll invest some money somewhere. That is the next step of faith. So you have to take that step. You can't just say, oh, I will have a house and that's it. Sit on your chair and that's about as much as you go. When you say, I will have a house, God will give me a house, my own house, that I could call my home, that my wife and me will build up. When you say that, you will then, what's the next step? The next step is either you'll make an investment somewhere, I don't know, you buy a CD, you buy a bond, you buy some stocks, shares, whatever you do is your next step of faith. That next step of faith, you're demonstrating your faith to God. You're saying to God, I believe you, you're going to give me a house, I receive it. Thank you, Lord. That's what you're going to say. Now, let me be very clear for everyone out there who are all stuck into this names and games. Names and games. What is names and games? Oh, he's called Yehovah. He is called Jehovah. He is called Yehovah. He is called Yehuvi. He is called Yahweh. He is called Yahweh. You know, all these names and games. Yeshua. He's called Yahushua. He's called Yahusha. He's called Yahuwashi. Names and games. The Lord Jesus, that is how he's known. The Lord Jesus is how he's known all over the world. Wherever I go, people know Jesus. When I say Yahushua, they say, who is that? Who is that? They've never heard of him. So I will use the common names that people know by. When I speak about God, then God is a name that everybody knows of the Creator above. I'm not going to go around and say, oh, have you heard of Yahweh? Who is Yahweh? Never heard of him, my man. So, you know, this is a problem. The problem with most of you out there is that you're stuck in names and games. So stop playing names and stop playing games. That is what my instruction is to you. Stop the names and stop the games. If you want to receive blessings in your life, if you want to receive abundant favor in your life, start proclaiming it. Start telling yourself you're going to receive it. Proclaim it and receive it, and it will be yours. Just as I said, if you want a favor in having owning a home, having an ownership to your own home, if you want that, then what do you do? The next step of faith, invest some money somewhere. Or maybe you save some money, you start saving. Maybe you go open a bank account in Bank of America or in one of the other institutions in North America or wherever you live, or in England. You know, maybe you go to Barclays Bank, maybe you go to Halifax, maybe you go to Santander Bank and you open a bank account, a savings account. You put an ISA savings account and you say, I'm going to start investing £100 into my savings account. I'm going to invest $200 into my savings account every month or every week, as it may be. You put it in. That is your next step of faith. You already proclaimed it. God is going to give me a house. I am going to have my own home. I receive it. Every day you're going to tell yourself that. I receive it. But what's the next step? Now you invest the money. That's your next step. Now what you have demonstrated is that you demonstrated that you believe God. You stop believing the lies of other people who tell you you're no good, who tell you that you're a disappointment. Your sons tell you, Dad, you're a disappointment. Dad, you're no good. Stop believing the lies. Stop the names and games. Stop the pity party. This is the pity party that we need to stop. I came to Doha. I came with one purpose and another thing happened. And circumstances happened where the person I was supposed to meet disappeared. Didn't turn up, didn't turn up at the airport. So I was like, interesting. Now what do I do? So, kind of interesting. Now what do I do? And the person didn't turn up at the airport. So what do I do? I gave thanks to God. I didn't shed a single tear. Oh, pity me. Oh, what do I do? Oh, Lord, what happened to me? Master Yeshua, what am I going to do now? Pity me. Poor me. I'll come all the way from North America. And look at me. That person is not here. I came for. No, I didn't do that. I kept my faith strong. I gave thanks to God. The first thing I do, I give thanks to God. I say, Lord, thank you. Thank you, Lord, for my life. Thank you for the blessings you've given me. Thank you for the favor you gave me when I was in England. You gave me a beautiful job in England, a $100,000 job you gave me in England. I love you, Lord. You gave me favor over there. I went over there every place you sent me, and I was favored. I was highly favored, and I was very happy. And you gave me homes over there, and I love you, Lord. I thank you. I thank you for all those favors. You gave me a beautiful Mercedes. I thank you, Lord. I had my Mercedes over there. I love you, Lord. You gave me a BMW. I love you, Lord. Thank you for the favors. I remind God. I will remind God what He's done for me. And then I remind Him still. I continue to remind Him Now, let's come to the point, Lord. Right now, my situation don't look so highly opportunistic. Right now, my situation looks a little bleak. Right now, I believe that I may be facing a little problem. But Lord, this problem is little. It's tiny. You're the great God. You're the great God that I serve. What is this to you? Nothing. This is nothing to you. This is just nothing. You speak the words and everything will change. In a second it will change. So I call out the favor of above. I call out God's abundant favor from above. I say to the Lord, I'm going to put this situation on your altar. I'm going to put this on your altar and you're going to direct my paths. Now I'm totally in you. I'm totally with you and in you. I'm dependent on you now, Lord. I'm not in my comfort zone. I'm not at home that I can do something about it. Maybe even if I was home, I couldn't do nothing about it. If that happened over there. You know, maybe I go to Pensacola airport expecting some person and they don't turn up. What am I going to do? Nothing. I have to go back home. You know, with a downcast face. But I don't do that. I go back home, I give thanks. I remind God of the abundant blessings He gave me. And then I say to God, okay, now let's get to business, Lord. Let's get to business. This is now business. So what is business? I now say, okay, Lord, I have a little problem. Houston, I have a little problem. I say to the Lord, I have a little problem. It's very tiny. It's very small. It's not a big problem. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. But I know that you are the great God I serve. I know you're the God of abundance. I know you're the God of favor. I know that you're a mighty God. I know that you're the God that brought us out of Egypt. I know that you are the God that showed those mighty miracles. I haven't forgotten it, Lord. I haven't forgotten your miracles. You did great miracles, and I remember them. You did great miracles for my forefathers. I remember them. I remember the time that my forefather Moses went up to the mountain, and you gave him the tablets of stones. You gave him the 10 words, known as 10 commandments. I remember that, Lord. You're a great God that I serve. Now what do I do? Now you direct my paths. That's what I do. So, I waited. And then guess what happens? I get an email from the airline. I phone the airline. I connect with another airline, and they give me the name of a person. And I phone this person, and guess who I meet? I meet a person called Yochanan. Amazing. The person that didn't turn up, Yochanan knew that person. Yochanan was with that person. And Yochanan then tells me everything that happened. What happened, why that person didn't turn up, what's going on. I know everything now. Oh, great. My goodness. I couldn't believe it. 5 minutes ago, I was like facing this huge hurdle. I didn't know what to do now. What directions do I go? This problem has come in my path. What do I do? And what happens? Mr. Yochanan comes to my path. I phone him. Hello, who are you, sir? Is your name Yochanan? Yes, my name is Yochanan. My name is Simon. Who are you, sir? My name is Simon Altaf. Okay, this is the situation. Alright, this is what's happened. And you know what? This man was so good to me. This man said to me, you're a rabbi, aren't you? I said, yes. He said, I have heard about you. I know you. I want to meet you. I really want to meet you because you're a blessed man. I have heard you're a mighty man of God. You're a mighty servant of the God of Israel. You know, this is what he told me. You may tell yourself, oh, I'm low, pity party. What do I do? Mommy, help me, daddy. You might be doing this. But this man tells me on the phone, I have heard of you, sir. You're Rabbi Simon Altaf. I've heard of you. You're a great man of God. You're a mighty man. You're a priest. I know you're a priest. You're a Kohen. I want to see you. I want to shake your hands. I must meet you. So I said to him, okay, we will meet. Please, tell me where to go or send me an address or maybe, I can come in the taxi or if not, if you want to come and pick me up from my hotel, whichever is better, whichever is easier, we will do that. So the man came to my hotel. He picked me up and we went to a Turkish restaurant. We sat there. He gave me food. He shook my hands, and then you know what he did? He take out an envelope and he give it to me. He said, this is my offering to you. I said, are you sure you want to give me an offering? He said, yes, I want to give you an offering because you are a Kohen. I want to give you this tithe, belongs to you. So I received the tithe, and then I sit there and we speak of the mighty miracles of God. You know what I did for the next hour? I spoke about the mighty miracles of God that happened in my life. I didn't speak about my problem. I didn't say, oh, poor me, Simon Altab, I came over here all the way, traveling so many hours from the plane, and look at me now. Look at me now, the person doesn't turn up. What do I do? Crying, bawling my eyes out. No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I look up to the heavens. I say to this man that I serve the God of Israel. Sir, do you know, Yochanan, do you know who I serve? I serve the God of Israel. He said, yeah, I've heard of the God of Israel. I heard of him. I know him. He says, I want to serve him too. You know what he said to me? I want to serve him too. I believe the Torah. He said, I believe the Torah. He says, you will see in me a Torah follower. My goodness, I was like, shocked. I was like, I didn't come over here to see that. But amazing, this is amazing that this man turns around to me and says, I'm a Torah follower, I love the God of Israel, and I believe in him, and I also know that you're his Kohen, and you have come over here, and I know you. So I was like, my goodness, I didn't know the man. I didn't know him from Jack Davis, I don't know who he was. But anyhow, it turns out that he was a kind man, he was a believer, and he helped me in the middle of my little problem. I didn't don't magnify your problems. Oh, my huge problem. My problem was tiny. And then God sent help. Because remember, God had already showed me the doves. I already knew that things were going to shake up a little bit. There was going to be a little bit of cleansing. But I wasn't going to believe the lies. I was going to cover my eyes with lies and say, oh, pity me. I'm going to believe the lie because that person said this about me, or that other person said this, so you mustn't do that. You mustn't believe the lie that other people give you. Your sons curse you down, your daughters curse you. You don't believe those things. You don't internalize them. How do you not believe them? You do not internalize them. Because when you internalize those things, you will then come into the pity party. Now you're into the pity party. You'll be sitting there, with head down, arch back, and you will be like, sitting there in your house with your arch back, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Oh Lord, what's happened to me? My problem, they're going to repossess my house. They're going to take away my car. I've lost my job. What am I going to do, Lord? The doctor told me I can't have children. What am I going to do, Lord? You see, these are the kind of things that you will be facing in your life. Oh, my spouse has told me that she's divorcing me. How am I going to face? How am I going to live now? How am I going to live my life with a divorced spouse? Where am I going to get my next wife? With eyes, with head down, your back, arched. You're like crying, your tears falling from your face, and you're like, what do I do? Let me tell you what you do. You straighten your back. You sit up. You give thanks. You lift your hands. You give thanks. Lord, I thank you. Lord, I thank you that you have brought me to this realization. This is a tiny problem. I thank you for this tiny problem. Through this problem, I have realized which are the people that love me, which are the people are for me, and which are the people are not for me. I thank you. I give you thanks that you have shown me direction. I didn't know this, Lord. I didn't know this, that these people are not for me. I was deceived. I thought these people love me, but I'm getting curses. I thought that my sons love me, but they're cursing me. I thought my daughter loved me, but she's putting me down. She's calling me names. But now I know, Lord. Now I know that these people didn't love me. So I'm going to put it on your altar, Lord. I'm going to put all these things and this little tiny problem, this tinsy problem, as big as a pea, I'm going to put it on your altar. I'm going to put it on the altar, and you're going to deal with it. Now this is in your court. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to shed tears. I'm not going to call the neighbors. I'm not going to call a friend and bawling my eyes out. Oh, Kathy, this thing happened to me. He did this to me. He did that to me. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell everybody about my problems. I'm not going to phone 50 people and get advice. I'm not going to get onto Google and search, what do I do if my wife is going to divorce me? What do I do? If my son curses me, I'm not going to phone, I'm not going to search on Uncle Google. I'm going to allow the mighty God that I serve to direct me. And when I did that, when I asked the mighty God to deal with my problems, everything became crystal clear. Believe me, crystal clear. And then new direction came. New opportunities came. I'm going to go to Pakistan. Baruch Hashem, Yahweh. Then I booked my ticket with a new fervor. I'm going to Pakistan, and I'm going to have opportunities. I'm going to have abundance. I'm going to have favor. I'm a victor. I'm not a victim. I tell myself this. I am a victor, not a victim. I'm a Kohen. I'm not a layman. So when I move forward, then my goodness, I tell you, doors start opening. People start changing. New opportunities start coming in my way. You wouldn't believe the mighty thing that happened to me in Middle East. You wouldn't believe it if you heard it. I went out, I meet with these people sitting in the street. They're just sitting there, they're just sitting there for cheap labor. They're waiting for the next person to come and pick them up, take them for labor. Maybe paint a house. Maybe, pick up some bricks. Maybe do something else. Any labor. They're sitting over there, and I sit with them. They call me. They say, oh, we recognize you because you passed over here yesterday. I say, yeah. I speak to them. These are people that came from the northern parts of Pakistan. Many of these people belong to the tribes of Israel. I shake hands with them. I sit with them. I empathize with them. I love them. I say to them, I empathize with you. I'm really sorry that you're sitting here in the heat all day long. You sit here in the heat. Your families don't know this back home, and you're waiting here for work. And you know what I do? I don't magnify their problem. I magnify God in front of them. I say that God will bless you. God will take care of you. Do not worry. God will send you blessings in your path. May you be blessed. And what do I do after that? I don't just walk away and pretend like, that's it was just a by-the-by meeting. I count the people in. I go to the store that is not too far from there, an Indian store, and I say to the man, I need to buy some bottles of drinks. So I buy some soda drinks. I buy some of these drinks that have got holy basil seed in them. And a strawberry flavor and coconut flavor and all these different flavors. So I buy these. And when I buy these, what do I do with them? Well, what do I do with them? I go out and I give it to these people. Because, holy basil seed is very good for you in the Middle East. When you're very, very hot weather, you can drink that. You could buy this from any store. You could put it into water and you could drink it, after 15 minutes, and that's very good for you. It cools you down. It removes your thirst. It helps you. It fills you up. If you are hungry, it fills you up. It goes about times 30 in your stomach. So, holy basil seeds, there's a little spice. You can buy it from any Indian store, Pakistani store. They sell it. And so I bought those nice little drink bottles, and I gave it to those. Those guys were asking me. They were saying to me, can we buy you a drink, brother? Can we buy you a drink? Can we buy you tea? I said, no, thank you very much. I've just had breakfast. But let me do something. So I go to the store. This is really hot outside, and I come back and I give them these bottles, and they really look at me. They thank me. They're smiling, and I see a smile on their face, and I say, you drink this because this will cool you down. This will help you because you got to sit here all day until your job comes. So this is what I do as a Kohen in the gate of Middle East right now, and then from Middle East to the East. I don't sit there and to complain about my problems. I sit there and I become an ear to their problems. I become sympathetic to their needs. I see what I can do. Well, I can certainly pray. I can leave them a bracha. I can leave them a great blessing, and I can even help them to have some food. So all these things I can do for them. What an amazing thing that happened to me. I did all of those things, and look what God did to me. Amazing, amazing things. And I come and I meet this man Yochanan, and then I get onto a plane and I come to Pakistan. Wow, that is something. That is something. I brought my sister-in-law from Qatar, and I say to my sister-in-law, I'll see you at the airport. Get there, get your card. I don't care how you get it. Get your card and see me at the airport. And my sister-in-law sends me a message back. No problem. Don't worry about it. No tension. I will be there for you. And yeah, she turned up. No problem. So, what happens sometimes, we expect one person and another thing happens. I come to the airport, I'm expecting my sister-in-law, right? And listen to this. I'm expecting my sister-in-law, that is my planning. Well, God has planned something else. Oops. But, the great man of faith that I am, I come to the airport waiting for my sister, and what happens? There's somebody else over there waiting for me. Oh, I was expecting my sister. So I phoned my sister. I don't have a local phone. I asked this person to phone my sister. She says she's about 13 kilometers away. She's not going to be long. So then I say to the person, she's about 13 kilometers away. What do you suggest? The person says, no, don't bother with her coming here. I'll take you home, and she can follow us there. So I got home. I plan one thing, God plans another. So therefore, we must follow through God's plan. We need to stop the pity party. I could have the pity party. Oh, where's my sister-in-law? Why didn't she turn up? I found her. I gave her a message. And look, she's not here on time. I could have had the pity party, but I didn't have the pity party. I decided not to have the pity party. I decided that this is the plan of God. This is what He's doing in my life. I have to follow it through. I have to be humble. I have to have humility. I had great favor at the airport, great favor on the flight. Beautiful. I met a man on the flight. Let me give you a testimony. I met a Muslim man on the flight who was sitting next to me. He was going to be sitting on another seat. He wasn't meant to be there. Do you know that? He wasn't meant to be next to my seat. This man was sitting there, and when he sat there, what he said to me, he said, oh, I'm going to be sitting at that seat in front, number 16 or something, but I'm going to sit there as soon as the flight takes off. So the flight takes off, and the seat is in front is empty, and his luggage is there, and he's about to go, and then he starts to talk to me. He starts to talk Muslim evangelism. He was a Muslim soldier. He was a Muslim soldier from the Middle East, and he tells me, I said, what do you do, soldier? And I work in Qatar. So I said, okay, great. And what kind of duties do you do? So he tells me his duties, and I start talking to him, and I start telling him, I said, I was once a soldier as well. I was once in the military, and we start talking, and we kind of get off, and then as we talk, he starts to come into the subject of God. He starts to tell me, how he starts to tell me that, we have two angels. He said we have an angel on our right shoulder and two angels on our left shoulder, and he says that the angel on our right writes the good deeds that we do, and the angel on the left, and the two angels on the left write the bad deeds that we do. And then he starts talking about Islamic faith, and he starts talking about prayer, and he starts telling me that, how he likes to go to the mosque and pray, and how he does this, and how he does that, and then he starts talking, because for some reason, and I don't know what, of course, we know that reason is God, and he knows that I'm not a Muslim. Don't tell anybody, I'm not a Muslim. Don't tell anybody. So he knows that, and he starts talking about God. He says, if you do this, if you work, it'll be great, Allah will do this for you, Allah will do that for you, Allah is great. I said to him, can I ask you a question? Let me get a drink of water. Let me ask you a question. I said, I hope you don't mind. I said, what is your name? He tells me his name, and I tell him my name. He goes, you got a nice name. And then I said to him, can I ask you a question? I said, please don't mind my question. He said, yeah, sure, ask the question. I said, you spoke about going to the mosque, and you spoke about doing the 5-time prayer, or whenever you can get the mosque to do the prayers. Why is it that you feel? I said, do you believe that God only lives in the mosque? Do you believe that God only lives in buildings and not outside? He thought for a bit, and he said to me, well, the thing is this, that I go to the mosque because, there are other people over there, and I feel, I wash myself, I do my ablution, and I wash my face, hands, feet, and I stand in prayer. I feel good about it. I feel good about praying over there. That's why I go to the mosque. But I said, sir, you haven't answered my question. My question was, is God not outside the building? Is He only in the building? Because you go to seek God in the building. So what you're telling me is that the God is in the building. For you, perhaps the God is in your building, the mosque. For a Christian, God is in a church. For a Jew, a God is in a synagogue. For a Hindu, God is in a temple. So I said, is God dwelling in buildings these days? Because last I checked, God has no building. Last I checked, let's be honest about it. We don't have a temple. Let's be honest about it. So I said to him, last I checked, God is not in a building. But I'm not asking this question to irritate you or to disrespect you. I respect you as a person. I respect your religious feelings. I respect the fact that you specially go to the mosque to pray. This is great. This is great. I say it in the language he understands. Subhanallah. This is great that you do that. But I say that, is God only dwelling in buildings in 2018? And then he says, no, but he says, I do this because, he says, of course not, but I do this because I have good feeling. So I had conversation with this man throughout, and I spoke on many different subjects, religious subjects. He told me the deeds of the Prophet Muhammad, what happened in Islam and how he dealt with people, and I know all of those things. I know all of those things. It's like that's like back knowledge for me. So the thing is this, that that's all back knowledge for me. This is not like a new thing, for me. This is not new stuff. Oh, great, I didn't know this. I know all of that stuff. But I asked him a question. I said, can I ask you a question? But I'm going to pause this recording over here. I've got to go because I'm pre-recording this lecture. I've got to go and I'm going to do this part 2 from here. So bear with me. A really exciting story. I will continue from here, from the man that I was speaking with in the plane. Okay? You guys, love you. Take care. This is Rabbi Simon, and I'll be back with part 2. This is part 1. And I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to do part 2 next.
Okay, Mishpaha, if I can be heard, can I get a 1? Again, this is Rabbi Kefa. This is part 1, Mishpaha. Part 2 will be next Shabbat. Part 2 he will do on the next Shabbat, okay? No worries. So part 2 will be done next Shabbat. This is part 1. As you can see, the son of Aaron is out doing the works of the Most Highest. Everybody is sitting on the edge of the seat for sure. This is just the workings of the Kohen, that son of Aaron, that many don't have privy to. You all ought to see yourselves as quite fortunate. Quite fortunate, quite blessed to get the inner workings of what goes on with a son of Aaron. With the a lot of key points were made in his lecture, and a lecture based on livelihood and his living, as you can see. You see, and I think this is more apropos and more appropriate for this day and age that we live in. As we've stated here many times, all of this theology, you don't want to run with Judaism's theology. And I think that's so very important to understand, is that you don't want to run with all of the, theology of knowledge and, why did this happen and this, that, the other, and the third. Things that have no relevance to your rescue and your daily living. This is what I try to explain to people that ask some questions that really have no relevance to how they need to live their life. You see, because that's what's appropriate for 2018 going forward, is that we must know how to get on with the Muslim, with the Christian, with the Baptist, with the Pentecostal, with the, with all of these different aspects of religion and understandings that are out there. And as you can see, what needs to occur is that we need to show kindness, we need to show compassion. All of these things that we've been talking about earlier, Mishpaha, they need to be put on the forefront. And it brings me back to the question that I asked initially earlier about the importance of who are the chosen people of God. I mean, I think that's such a relevant question. Is it the people that just say they're the chosen people of God? I mean, how do you know that a person is chosen of God? Will they wear a t-shirt that says, I'm the chosen of God? Will they have some kind of tattoo on some kind of marking that will help you decipher who are the chosen people of God? And more in the answer that I came up with, it leaves room for, my goodness, so much room to grow. Because when you ask yourself this question, who are the chosen people of God? Now, do all of you understand that God has, the living God has a chosen people? All of you understand that, right? That the living God has a chosen people. Out of all the peoples of the world, of this earth, that God has a chosen people. Now, this is why it's paramount that we understand, well, who are those chosen people? What does it mean to be chosen? Can anybody answer that question? Anybody have an opinion on what does it mean to be chosen of God? What does that mean to you? I know many of you may have many different opinions on that. Abrahu says to be set apart, to comply with the Torah. Adelia says, what does it mean to be, if you're chosen of God, what does that mean? To be the Most High's, to be in the Most High's covenant, says J.B. Yashrael. All of these are great responses, great opinions, and of course there's no wrong answer for those of you who may be thinking, oh, Rabbi Kefa's coming up with a trick question. I'm going to say this, and then it's going to be wrong, and then I'm going to be shamed, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not the point. That's definitely not the point, because we understand Torah's not here to shame anyone, and everybody's entitled to their own opinions. And we must have a high respect for everyone's opinion. I mean, this is how we get on with society, is that we respect everyone's opinion, and we don't hold, any kind of animosity or be judgmental in any kind of way. Rabbi Bania says we are special. Yes, as you know that Torah gives some great illustrations and great wording on the Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus of Nazareth, approach to how he sees those that are chosen. And I think that's important for us to understand as we, look and examine the Torah and try to understand it. Yael, woman of the tent, says to be called, set apart, and obedient to all his Torah living. Yes, another great example and another great response as well. Rabbi Bania says, the apple of Yahweh's eye, exercise faith in his word, do what he says. Are the chosen people. But look, let me add my 2 cents to the fire. A descendant of Abraham. Torah says a descendant of Abraham. Okay, that's good. Now here's a question for you, Torah. Is Esau, is he a descendant of Abraham? You see, we have to look at that aspect as well. Yeah. So we have cousins and out there that are descendants of Abraham as well, and we see that being portrayed out today, 2018. As I find I have a lot of favor with my cousins here in San Antonio. Esau's lot. I have no problem with them. I have no problem with Edom and his lot. I have no problem with them as well. If you're living upright, you're not going to have too many issues. And the issues that you do have are going to be small issues. Just like you learned in the Son of Aaron's lecture, is that we are the ones that make mountains out of molehills. You understand what I'm saying? We are the ones that make mountains out of mustard seed. And remember how the son of Aaron was talking about in his lecture, Abba, I just have a little tiny little problem. You can handle my little tiny problem. If you begin to see your problems that way, it would make your life so much better. And I noticed this. Psychology uses this a lot. People will see, people in psychology. I have a friend, he's a psychologist. And what he does is he makes people, like, whatever your fear may be, Who in here is afraid of snakes? Anybody in here afraid of snakes? Anybody here afraid of rats, roaches? Anybody afraid of any of these things? This is what he does. He'll take your fear, right? Like if you're afraid of rats or mice, anything like this, maybe even large animals or whatever your phobia may be. He'll make you take a mental picture of that phobia you're afraid of, and he'll say, imagine that thing you're afraid of as the thing that you just like and love the most. Maybe it's a teddy bear, or it may be many people have phobias of spiders, or it may be a little teddy bear, a little Barbie doll, Ken and Barbie doll, something that you really love. It may be a piece of chocolate. He'll say, imagine that object like that most, special, lovable thing that you like in your life, a little furry, Bugs Bunny, or whatever you're into. And then he finds that once they begin to envision and imagine their worst fears as these little lovable, adorable little toy creatures or whatever, then their phobia of these particular animals or objects, whatever they may be, or even it can even be a phobia of inanimate objects, like some people have claustrophobia to where they don't like being closed in. So he'll tell them, envision yourself out on the prairie, like Little House on the Prairie, and you just you're running through the high grass and all this other stuff. And once they begin to do that, they find themselves getting better. And the same way with your problems as you may see them. Don't see them as this big mountain, but see them as a little tiny, tiny mustard seed. I'm pretty sure if I open up some of your cupboards right now, you probably have the mustard seed herb in your pantry. So you take one of the little tiny little mustard seeds and imagine your problem as a little tiny mustard seed and not this big mountain that we make it out to be. See, sometimes we make our problems out to be mountains when they're just mustard seeds. This is when you begin to understand the perspective of the Most Highest. You think his problem is too big for you? Remember in the Torah how how it's always said by the Master. He says, is my hand too short? You hear that? You hear that in our books, in our Tanakh, right? He'll say this in the prophets. He'll say, is my hand too short? Is my hand too short? You see, because we always thinking, oh well, God, this problem is just too big for you, so I don't want to bother you with it. I'm going to tackle it myself. Or God, I just don't even want to. I'm trying to ignore it because I just know this is just too big. You see, these are the Jedi mind tricks that our mind plays on us. And we'll make that little mustard seed. We'll make that little mustard seed into a big mountain, that Mount Everest, that we'll never conquer, we can never, and then the mountain ends up conquering us, and we end up in all kind of predicaments when we just need to look at our problem in a mustard seed fashion. Have a mustard seed mindset with your situation, with your circumstance, with your so-called problem. Mustard seed mindset, that's the title of a good lecture. That's the kind of mentality that you need to have going forward. Some of you are dealing with circumstances right now, situations right now. See them with the mustard seed mindset, to where you can go in and conquer the problem with the aid of the Most Highest. That same mighty right hand that took our forefathers out of Egypt is the same mighty right hand that is dealing with us today in 2018 going forward, and is with us in the exile. You're not alone. The Master saying, I am with you. Though you think we're far away, I am yet very close. Though you think I'm yet very far, is my hand too short? Question mark. It's never too short, Mishpachah. Never underestimate the power of the Most Highest power. When you say Most Highest, think about what you're saying. The Most Highest. Never underestimate the power that you serve, because he's just power that we cannot comprehend, outside of our scope of comprehension. Power, you see? Yes, indeed, Rabbi Benia, the most highest. Just you say that word every day. I mean, that word will empower you. You'll understand that, yes, all of my problems are mustard seed. Brit, when you put things into perspective. See, because sometimes we like to veer off in la-la land where we need to be right here in reality. You must put things into perspective and understand the living God that you serve. You serve a living God. The power, the most highest. The God that took his people out of Egypt. A God did that. Did the Christian God ever take them out of anything? The living God of Israel took his people out of Egypt. Can anybody's other God claim that? Come on now, let's be real. We must be realistic. I'll tell you, what a great resume. If we had to put resumes together for the different gods out there, I mean, the most highest. His was outshine all of them. Everybody would be hiring the God of the most highest. And yet, in some aspects, let me enlighten you. In some aspects, every religion has already hired the God of the most highest. Yet, the only thing that they're lacking is what? They're lacking understanding. They're lacking revelation on how to be of service and how to utilize the God of the most highest. Do you know that the Christians serve the God of the most highest? They serve that God. They do. The Muslims serve the God of the most highest. They do. The Catholics, they serve the God of the most highest. But it's that level of service, you see. This is why we don't want to condemn them. We don't want to put them down. We're not trying to shame them in any kind of way. Now you're starting to see why Abraham had an open door policy in his house, and he would just feed everybody. He would feed all of humanity. But yet while he was feeding and ministering to their physical bodies, guess what he was doing? He was also feeding and ministering to their spiritual bodies. How? I can tell you how. Just like the son of Aaron was doing on the plain, as he was talking to this soldier, this Muslim soldier. Just conversation, baby. But how can you have a conversation when you're too busy trying to hate one another? When you don't show compassion and love? When you're too busy, just because the man don't look like you, you already prejudicing that man based on how he looks, and you're already profiling and prejudicing the individual. So you never leave that open door policy. Always remember, you're descendants of Abraham. How about you act like Abraham? Be cordial towards humanity. How about that? What a great lecture Hakohen gave, son of Aaron, on real life experiences. How the God of Israel is real. He's a living God. All of you should have these same testimonies. Maybe not on that level. And I guarantee you do, but you just don't recognize it. This is why these lectures are so important. To help you hone in the exile, in our dispersion, on how real the God of Israel is and how his hand is not short in your life. He's right there with you. You are not alone. Yet we don't afford to give the God of Israel, the living God, the respect that he's due. Think about that. We don't afford to do that. Rabbi Benia is saying, I was in Trinidad giving a network marketing business lecture, and it was about faith that works. Right on time with what Hakohen was speaking about. It is hard for me to sit still during Hakohen's lecture. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. You see, the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. Rabbi Benia, you are a student of a son of Aaron. What other words do you think will come out of your mouth but the words of the sons of Aaron? I say that all the time. See, because the words of a son of Aaron are going to be what? The words of Moses. And the words of Moses are the Torah. So our language, you see, that's why when the Torah says that Israel is one, this is real. Ahad, one. What makes us one? Our wording. We all speak the same language. Everybody phones in and say, Rabbi, well, Give me some advice on where I need to go to learn Hebrew. You don't need to learn Hebrew 2018. I'm telling you right now. You need to learn Torah. Hebrew's not important right now. You need to learn the language of Torah because we all speak the language of Torah, right? Think about that. Think about that. We all speak Torah. That's the language we speak. 2018. We all speak the Torah. Everybody wants to learn Hebrew. For what? How is learning Hebrew in 2018 is going to help your rescue? How is that going to help your deliverance? How is that going to bring you in compliance with the Most Highest, you see? What relevance does that have? Oh, you're going to get cool points and brownie points because you can speak Hebrew and you know all the vowel points and all that? Is that going to get you the cool points? Think about it, Mishpachah. Yet that's the understanding of some folks today. Oh, you're going to become a martyr for the Torah. And you're going to spend all of this time and effort, learning Hebrew while your family is starving and you lost your house and they foreclosed on your home because you quit your job to learn Hebrew. Yet God is going to honor you. Oh, this is foolishness. This is foolishness. Do you understand the understandings that are out there? They're just totally whack-a-mole. Totally pig water understandings. But you have to face reality and stare reality in the face, because every morning that you wake up, guess what? Reality's looking at you. Reality's staring you right back in the face. And it's saying, are you the chosen of God? That's what reality's saying. And what do you say back? That's the question. Rabbi says, yes, I am. See, because that's the question that reality is asking you. It stares you in the face every day as you wake up and you get out of that bed. And you give thanks to the Most Highest for putting your spirit back within your body so that you can go and you can live another day for the Creator of the heavens and the universe and extol His name by how you live your life. As you better yourself daily, you become a better woman, you become a better man daily. Now, let's go back to the question earlier that was raised at the beginning of the lectures these days. You see? Who is a chosen person of God? Do you want to know who is a chosen person of God? The chosen people of God, here's the revelation. The chosen people of God, I hope you hanging on the edge of your seats. The chosen people of God are the people who choose God. Wow! Think about there's deep revelation in what I just said. The chosen people of God are the people who choose God. That's heavy. It's all about choice at the end of the day, is it? Isn't it? Is it about nappy hair, dreadlock hair, curly hair, straight hair, white, black, yellow, green? The chosen people of God are the people who choose God. Wow. That hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, wow, that makes common sense. Doesn't it? Isn't that reality staring you in the face? The chosen people of God are the people who choose God. That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful, Ms. Barker. You know why? What does choosing God mean? Let's get deeper now. We get into the grits and the greens here. What does choosing God mean? That you choose God. Is it just like you say, okay, I choose, is it something that you just say? You see? I mean, how do you choose God? Oh, God, I choose you. Wow. Isn't that a relationship to the highest? God, I choose you. How about you get up every morning and say that? God, I choose you. Instead of running around and saying, oh, I'm the chosen, I'm the chosen. How about you say, hey, God, I choose you. I bet you that'll hold you to accountability and responsibility once you say that. God, I choose you. Wow. Man, that's you just saying those words is powerful. You saying you choose the creator of the heavens and the universe. So then you know what the question God is going to ask you, the living God? He's going to say, well, how do I know you choose me? You see, again, this is just the way the Master spoke. When he walked the earth, Master Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, that's just the way he spoke. People would ask him a question, he turned your question right around by asking you another question. Well, how do you know you're the chosen people of God? Because the chosen people would choose God. So I know this response is from the heavens. This revelation that I received, that's from the heavens, man. How, who are the chosen people of God? 2018. Who are the chosen people of God? The people that choose God. How do you choose God in 2018, Mishpachah? How do you choose God? Is it just mere words? Oh, I choose God, and everything's fine. Bada boom, bada bing, some magical theatrical event will happen, boom, and then all of a sudden the heavens will open, and these doves will come down, and they will land on you, on your shoulder, and they will pick you up and lift you up in the air, and you will fly like a drone. No, come on, man. That's Hollywood. How do you choose God in 2018, Mishpachah? That's the question. And Torah gives us the answer, as all of you have been saying this whole lecture. How? Chosen. If we're the chosen, then we must choose God. See, there's many people that say that they're chosen, but guess what? Their action has proven that they have not chose God. Their actions are telling me that they haven't, but they tell you with their lips, oh, I'm the chosen. I'm the chosen. Just like Rabbi Zechariah was talking about. They tell you they're the chosen, but they can't even wear the tzitzit right. But you're the chosen? They don't even have the commandment of the tzitzit. But you're chosen and you choose God? Well, you choose not to obey him, or you can choose to obey. You choose. Remember, we talked about filling in the blanks. Your life is already written out, but guess what? Even with your life written out before you, there's still room. There's lines that are just blank that are called fill in the blanks. And that area is your ability to choose. Choose God. Choose whatever you want to choose. God is telling you to do many things and you're saying no. Are you choosing God? Let's get to the meat and potatoes now. God told you to do this and you didn't do it, but you say you're chosen of God. Are you choosing God? No, you're choosing to do what you want to do. Think about these things now. Because now your status of being the chosen people is based on a high responsibility of you saying, I choose God. That has a lot of responsibilities. Oh, I choose to serve the God of Israel. I choose to serve the living God. That's my choice. I choose to do that because I am the chosen, so I must choose. If the God of Israel, the creator of the heavens and the universes, sees me as the chosen, it's only because I choose to serve the most highest. And it's my service that attaches me to that chosen people title. That title is only relinquished to those who are truly and have truly and are truly submitted to the will of the Most Highest. Not by what they keyboard warrior texts in here. That I give flying flute about what people say now. I want to see your deeds. I want to see your actions. That's what I want to see. I give a flying flute about what you texting in now. Oh, I would do this. Yes, and I'm going to do this. That's keyboard warrior. Show me, let your deeds walk miles before you. Let your merits speak for you. Let me go talk to that neighbor across the street, see what they say about you. How about I go holler at your boss and see what he thinks of you? That's your deeds going before you. That's your merit speaking for you. Choose. You must choose the God of Israel. You must choose him to be chosen. Do you see the give and take? You see, if the God of Israel is going to call you his chosen, then you must have chosen him already. See, but that choosing the God of Israel, that's more than a mouthful. How many of you understand that? That's going to require a lot of sacrifice, a lot of commitment. This is just something that just don't happen overnight. This has to be embedded in you. It just has to be embedded in you. You see? What about if one day you choose to serve the Most High, but the next day you don't? What does that make you? You see, this is why this is a process that happens over time, because it's just not ascension or a mental thing. It's actually a conversion, a reversion of your whole being. Like they say, the word that they use is a paradigm shift. Your whole life is just basically turned right side up, because before your life was upside down. So now all your life is doing is coming right side up. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, Baruch Hashem, the Chochmah for those words. Oh, Rabbi, I come into the Torah, turn my life upside down. No, it actually turned your life right side up. You was already upside down. So Torah, what it does, when you come into, choosing the God of Israel, then your life becomes right side up. Your life was already topsy-turvy before you came into the facts. Now that you have the facts, now your life is becoming right side up and you can walk upright. Instead of doing Michael Jackson's moonwalk, you could walk upright and you could walk forward. You could walk straight ahead. You're not going backwards anymore. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. So when we look at this parsha, this is what it's all about. When we enter in, my goodness. When you enter into what? And that's my goodness, this is the whole point of why we're here. Is we want to meet the criteria of the chosen of God. Wow, God has a chosen people? He absolutely does. And it's not based upon anything but those that choose to serve God. What an open door policy. I couldn't get that open door policy at the synagogues in San Antonio. I couldn't get an open door policy like that. They were telling me I had to meet all kind of criteria, and I didn't even, and some of them just told me what the trash cans were. But I didn't even meet the criteria. I didn't need to be a part of that. But I needed to be a part of Abraham's open door policy. All are welcome. And note, with Abraham, he would feed their belly because everybody was hungry. Why else would they go to Abraham's house? They knew they could get some free food. Feed the belly. So the same way with those that want to choose God is their belly has to be empty to where they're hungry. This is why you allow these people to gravitate to you. You don't go to them because their belly's still full. They're not hungry yet. You wait for them to come to you. Did he have like a Uber delivery? What is it? They call it Uber food now, something like that. Well, you could order your food and Uber will actually deliver it to your door now? I was like, what the heck? Uber Eats, there you go, Abraham. Got Uber Eats now. Did Abraham have Uber Eats? And okay, yeah, you just give me the address and I'll go deliver it for you. Yeah, I'm gonna deliver the food. No, they had to come to Abraham, right? They had to come to Abraham's base. Same way with people today, 2018. You allow them to come to you, the chosen people, because you choose to serve the living God. Look at Hashem, Master Yeshua, Master Jesus of Nazareth. Now we know this choice to serve the living God is a total different way of life. So people are going to see you different. They're going to see you have a different way of living. And some people are going to be drawn to that. Why? It's because their bellies are empty and they're hungry. And you're going to give them the facts. They're going to come to you because you're the fact factory. You have the facts that they need for true deliverance, true salvation. Because I'm going to tell you one thing about the Christians, is that they all believe that they saved. How many you know what I'm talking about? They all believe that they saved. They saved already. They saved by grace. They saved. They want to be saved. They say that they saved. So you can give them the facts about salvation. Real facts. That salvation must be worked. Salvation is not a given. You just don't get salvation. You just don't get chosen people status. Mishpachah, I don't care who you are. You still going to have to prove yourself. Did not Moses have to prove himself? Did not Aaron have to prove himself? Sometimes they got it wrong. Sometimes they made mistakes. Human beings. But like HaKohen, the son of Aaron, talked about in his lecture, did they sit and have a pity party? No, they didn't have a pity party. They made the necessary adjustments and corrections. And they kept it moving. Yeah, Moshe made many mistakes. Even before hitting the rock, he made many mistakes. But did he let that, did he dwell on that? No, he didn't. He made the mistake. Okay, let's keep it moving. Chalk it up as experience and let's keep it moving. This was a great bit of experience to help me do what? To help me be in service to the Most High so I can serve Him and be called His chosen, not by what I say with my lips, but by my actions. Knowing that we all going to make mistakes. You're all going to get it wrong sometimes. And this is why the Most Highest in all of His mercy and His grace and His compassion, He can look over that and He can forget about that, because why? Now He sees that you're focused on continuing to do what's right. You learn from your bad mistake, your mess up. And your desire to choose God is based solely on what you do. I want you to look at the end of this parsha. You see, because this parsha is just talking all about this kitavo. It's talking all about, the covenants and the importance of the covenant. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 1. Again, we read from the Hidden True We Break Scrolls. And these are the words of the covenant which Yahweh commanded Moshe to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which He made with them in Horeb. This is the covenant. I mean, my goodness, the chosen people and their attachment to the covenant. You say you choose God, then you better make sure you know what the covenant says. Now, everybody talks about Deuteronomy 27 and 28. Now, what do we know? What do you all know? And I'm pretty sure, I tell you, for me, it really gave me insight on who the chosen people were. How do you know about the chosen people? Deuteronomy 27 and 28. What do they talk about, Mishpachah? Please help me before you get in Shabbat sleep mode. What is Deuteronomy 20? Everybody talks about it. Everybody. They hone in on these chapters. Deuteronomy 27 and 28. What do they talk about? They talk about the curses, right? But they also talk about the blessings too. Okay, but here's the question about the blessings and the curses, right? Here's the question that I have. these blessings and these curses, they're contingent on what? Can anybody answer that question for me? The blessings and the curses are contingent on what? I mean, what are the blessings and the curses? It's contingent, and I guess I need to probably rephrase the question. What must take place for you to fall in line with the blessings or fall in line with the curses? It requires an action of some part on a human, right? A human has to do something. A human has to take some kind of action, right? None of these blessings and curses have any, they just don't happen out of the wind, right? It requires a human being. A human being. See, this is why that open door policy is so real. It requires, you want to be called the chosen people of God, then you must look at the covenant, and you read this covenant. You get the curses, you get the blessings. How? It's based on what? It's based on what you do. If you do this, then you'll get this. If you do this, you take this action, then this action gonna happen to you. But if you do this, then this will happen to you. The contingencies of the covenant requires an individual to take some kind of action. This is where you choosing God comes into play. Because every day you can choose to either do one side of the covenant or the other by the action that you take that day. You make that decision. So all of you that are under the confines and under the umbrella of the Torah, you need to ask yourself this question. Is God really judging me, or do I judge myself? See, I did it this one year. See, Christians, well, I don't want God to judge me. I don't want God to judge me. No. God is not going to judge you. You're already judging yourself. By your choice. You want to be called the chosen? Then you need to choose God. You need to choose to do what God told you to do. To God. You need to choose what God told you to do. You need to choose what God told you to do. If you don't want to do what God wants you to do, that's your choice. Maybe you wake up Wednesday and say, today I want to be Gentile of the year. Then you'll be Gentile of the year. That's your choice. How do you think God feels about that? I think He cares less. It's because you're in charge of that. You're in control. Judgment is now. I'm letting you know right now. Your judgment is now. Look at the end of the parsha in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 9. Where the Torah goes on to tell us, guard therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. This is covenant stuff here, man. You're choosing God. You have to go back and look at the covenants and then begin to do them. Just like all of you were saying. You all are clued up. It's because you're taught by a son of Aaron. That you may prosper in all that you do. I'm not going to sit here and go through all the blessings and the curses. You guys have read all of that. But what's contingent upon the covenant? It requires that a human being makes a choice. Why do you think we call the chosen people? It's because we chose to serve the living God. We chose God. You see? We chose God. We chose to take the covenant and make it a part of how we live our lives. That's it at the end of the day. You can have people saying, oh, you're not this, you're not that, the other, and the third. So be it. Who makes them judge and jury? Today in 2018, you must go back and examine the covenants. If you call yourself the chosen people, then you need to choose God. Don't choose your own understanding. Don't choose yourself, but you need to choose God. You need to choose the God of Israel, the living God, and serve Him. Don't let your choice just be on mere words, because you're only fooling yourself. Oh, I'm the chosen people, Rabbi, really? Do you tithe? Do you give your tzedakah? Do you wear your tzitzits, men? No, not even that. Do you wear your katan? Because they say, oh, I wear my tzitzits. I just hang them on my Levi jeans belt loop. Well, that's not wearing your tzitzits. That's not the commandment. How you treat your wife. How you treat the children. How you treat your neighbor. Are you an angry bird? Or are you a compassionate one? What are you? All of these things. You know, you sit back and these things, they must be demonstrated. Choice is a demonstration for the chosen people of God. Choice is a demonstration. If you choose the God of Israel, you're going to demonstrate it. How many of you walk around with placards every day? I'm the chosen people. I'm the chosen people of God. I'm the chosen people. I'm the chosen people. Nobody does that. Well, unless you live in New York. But what you need to do is just go out and live it. Live this covenant. Live this way of life. Live it. Make it part of your livelihood. Embed it within you. Take these covenants and put them inside of you. To where everything, just like Rabbi Veneer, everything you speak is nothing but it's that universal language of the chosen people of God, which is the Torah. That's the language we all need to learn. Forget about learning Hebrew. If that was the case, the Most Highest would have told the sons of Aaron, okay, when you transliterate the Hebrew, make sure you only put it in Hebrew so that all my people will begin to learn Hebrew. How come the Hidden Truth Hebraic Scrolls are in English? Anybody tell me? Why? It's because the majority of these countries that we're dispersed in, the English language is a prominent part of their livelihood. Think about that. You ever thought about that? You guys are fortunate to be in a country, as I can see right now. I'm teaching my wife English now. We're reading books together, and she's learning English. And it's a lovely thing to listen to her learn English. And she's from China, and they learning English over there too. So do you see why the Hidden Truth Hebraic Scrolls are in English? Now I know we're trying to, put the New Testament, the Brit and the Torah, we put them in other languages as well to really aid and facilitate. But the dominant language today is what? English. So why is Hebrew the dominant language today? Is everybody world over, oh yeah, I'm taking my child? Is Hebrew even offered in anybody's school? When we look at public schools, is Hebrew even a language, foreign language that's offered? Anybody's neck of the woods? Probably not. Probably not, Mishpachah. Probably not. So why is everybody trying to learn Hebrew? What's the purpose? No, you want to understand in the language that you're in. How are we going to be a light to the nations when we don't blend in with the nation's language, which is English? Because we're not trying to confuse people anymore. We want to make this plain and simple so that people can choose God and be called the chosen people. Yah forbid if you have an understanding that God wants to condemn people to the lowest of the lowest pits of Sheol, and have them incinerated and just totally done away with at some point in time. His creation, you think he wants to do that? I submit, Yah forbid if you have that kind of twisted understanding, because that's just far from the truth. From the facts. That's just not factual. It'd be like you create something. You create a son, a daughter. You are a partner in creation. Is it your desire for that part for you to destroy your creation? Yah forbid. Now there's some twisted people out there that do it. But Yah forbid that you want to do that. You want to bring any kind of harm to something that you had a partnership in creating. Yah forbid. Yah forbid. How much more so with the Most Highest? He created all humanity. This should really help us have a high respect for humanity. Regardless if they believe the way you believe and they choose to serve another God. Maybe they choose to serve the Christian God, the Muslim God. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. They still what? God's creation. And we should afford them that respect. And respect and have dignity on them being able to make their choice on how they want to live their life. Ah, my goodness. And you know what? You can take that kind of understanding and apply it to every area. Because we know in these nations, they kind of do some twisted stuff, right? You know, they got some twisted behaviors in these nations. But what do? We leave them to it. Because last time I checked, I'm a sojourner in their land. I'm the stranger in their land. This is not my land. How am I going to go over here and try to, change them? No, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm just trying to live my life and be a productive citizen in their land and contribute. I don't know how many cars Rabbi Zakari has fixed in his city, but he's contributing to help, the interstates run smoother and get less cars broke down on the side of the road. He's contributing to his city, to his state. Just like all of you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. You're contributing in a positive way. And not in a negative way. That's what needs to happen. This is the light shiners in these nations. We're to let our light shine. To shine our lights. Because why? We chose to serve the living God. We are the chosen people. Why? It's because we choose to serve the chosen God, who chose us to serve Him. So it's a two-way street. The God of Israel is not going to force none of His covenant on any of you. None of His covenants is forced on no one in this room, no one listening via YouTube. None of them. What a great gift to be able to choose, right? But what I would guard you against doing today is forcing people to choose. You don't want to do that. Remember we talked about that earlier. I'd rather you have the ignorance card played than having a card played where, you made somebody forced to choose and they said no. Because they weren't ready to receive the revelation. They weren't ready to receive the facts. They just weren't ready. The understanding wasn't there, and yet now you forcing it upon them. How many of you at one time or another were guilty of this? Man, I'm going to put a one there. Because I used to be, my goodness, I was the zealot for the Torah. And I wanted everybody to know. And I should have kept my big mouth shut. Boy, what a great lesson I learned. And I should have kept my big mouth shut and just done this Torah for myself. But no, here comes Super Hebrew. And I'm going to save the world. I'm going to fly over the whole world. And I'm going to tell them the facts. And they better listen. Because I got a big mouth. No, that's not cool. And that was wrong. But, I just felt so... I was just zealous because I was so excited to finally get the facts. That was just like empowering to me. And I felt this power. It's almost like picking up Excalibur. That sword, that sword Excalibur. You pick up that sword out of the rock. I pulled the sword out of the rock. Mishpah. That's how I felt. And I was like, oh man, I got the sword now. I'm finna chop some people down. I'm finna tell them the truth. I got the sword. I like those Middle English movies, man. I love those movies. So I felt like I was a sword and I was the knight for the Most High. Super Hebrew. Boy, but that was wrong. And then Hokmah told me to put the duct tape on many years ago. She's like, you put the duct tape on, you be quiet, and you let your deeds speak for you. You show this Torah. You show this Torah. You show this Torah to them through how you live your life. And that's taken many years now. 8+ years. But we have to show it. We just have to show it. We have to show it through what we do, that we have chosen the living God. And then people will be drawn to you. I'm telling you, they're going to be drawn to you. Those that have empty stomachs. Because it's the empty stomachs that are hungry. And the majority of the time, I was going to people that was belly was just full of religion. They weren't ready to eat anymore. They was happy, their bellies were full, and all they wanted to do was sleep. Because their bellies, what happens when your bellies get full? First thing you want to do is sleep. And so I'm going to talk to you, and then guess what they're doing? They're rejecting the God of Israel. They're making a mockery of me, and guess what I just did? I made their judgment 10 times worse. Because now they rejected the living God. Because of me opening my big mouth. Wow. Lesson learned for me, right? The hard way. But now I know about the duct tape method, and I'm telling the world. I'm telling the world to zip it. You know, Texas has this saying about, seatbelts. Click it or you're going to get a ticket. Click it or ticket. Well, I'm just saying zip it. I'm just saying zip it up. Don't say anything. Live your life. Live your prosperous life. Live your prosperous life, Mishpachah. Because, believe me, that's already built into the covenants. That you're going to have a prosperous life. That's built in. If you choose to serve God as the chosen people. Listen to this in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yahweh your power, to guard and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahweh your power will elevate you high above all the nations of the world. Wow. You don't have to wait till you get to Israel for this to happen. Newsflash. You don't have to wait. Yael 1:10 saying, are we allowed to bless others though? Of course you are. Of course. Christians love to say, God bless you. You say, God bless you. Muslims say, what do they say? Inshallah, like that. Allah something. You give them the Allah back. You say, hey, may Allah bless you too. Oh, you give it back to them. Indeed you do. You see, this is how you elevate yourself above all this. Anybody else would say, oh no, you don't deserve no blessings. You don't get nothing from me. We're not even the same. But no, you are, this is how you elevate yourself above all the nations of the world. Is you don't fall into the trap of being profiled as being this kind of person, angry bird, or, you can't get on with these other religions out there. Just because they don't follow your way of life, don't knock the religions. Have compassion and show love to them. And be considerate. And just like the late Aretha Franklin said in her song, have some respect for them. Because at the end of the day, they're still the most highest creation. At the end of the day. Always remember that. When you see, because that angry bird will try to flare up sometimes. And sometimes, it don't take much to push your buttons. And before you know, how many of you know that button I'm talking about? That festivity button. If they push that festivity button, my goodness. That festivity button come out, you don't want that to happen. You don't want the festivity button to come out. Keep that button on the back burner. I won't say totally get rid of it. Because sometimes you do need to hit the festivity button. Sometimes it's warranted. Because a lot of times folks will take your kindness for a weakness. You see, right now, you're getting, you see in the son of Aaron, the very docile tiger. The tiger's laying down. The tiger's very happy. But you don't want Tony the tiger to come out. You don't want to see the tiger pounce. Because the tiger can do that too. You don't ever want to see that. I've seen it a couple of times. And it hasn't been too good for the other party. But you do not want to see the tiger pounce. You want the tiger laying down. Very docile. Very domesticated. That's the tiger you're seeing now. Same way with the lion. Right now you're seeing Simba. You get Simba. Simba's, very docile, nice little kitty. Hello, kitty. You get Simba. But you don't want to see Lion King. you don't want to see Lion King. And so we always need to balance that out. You see, we can't be heavy on one side or another. There has to be balance. That's why I'm telling you, don't get rid of the festivity button. Just put it on the back burner. Just put it on the back burner. Because sometimes it is warranted. Because people will take advantage of these great characteristics that we have, you see. They'll take advantage of it. And you must make them understand that they cannot take advantage of who you are. And that, you got to watch that, because they will try to take advantage of you, Mishpachah. And we don't want that to happen. So we go back to the covenant. Now this is a covenant of the do's and don'ts, the blessings and the curses. The covenant is intact. Somebody said it earlier. I thought it was Abrahu. He talked about El Olam Va'ed, forever. The covenants are intact forever. Now, here's the question. Where do you fall? And in that, it goes back to the fill in the blank. And you deciding what you're going to choose to do. What action are you going to decide to take today? Am I going to serve the Creator? Am I not? Do I choose God, the living God, or don't I choose the living God? And before you know it, it becomes habitual. And you get into a pattern to where this way of life, because it's not a religion, by the way. If you're in this room thinking, oh, I found the greatest religion, this is not a religion. If you listen via YouTube and you think, man, what religion is this? It's not a religion. This is a way of life, the way we live. Noah was chosen because of how? Because of the way he lived. Moses was chosen why? Because of how he lived. Abraham was chosen why? Because of how he lived. The God of Israel, the creator of the heavens and the universe, didn't say, oh, I'm going to pick that man because he's a Christian. I see the C on his shirt. No. It's because of how these men lived. Their deeds and their merits spoke for them and went before them. Do you understand? So this is what's important. Don't get caught up and think this is a religion. We're far from a religion. It's a way that we live. It's a lifestyle that once it's embedded within you, my goodness, it becomes habitual, and before you know it, you don't even have to question whether you're choosing to serve the creator of the heavens and the universe. It's just second nature. It's just like you breathing. How many of you know what I'm talking about? When you've been in Torah maybe 4 or 5 years, it's just second nature. It's just how you live. It's your livelihood. And you just carry on. You rinse and repeat. It's not difficult, Mishpah. It's quite simple. Now, it may have taken you a while to get there. No problem. Time is a Hebrew's best friend. Just like diamonds are a woman's best friend. They like to bling bling. Time is the Hebrew's best friend. And so that's what we do. We show that we choose to serve the living God of Israel by how we live our lives. And I tell you, I'm going to close with this because I'm getting ready to close here in a little bit. But I'll tell you this. I look at these Gentiles that are passing, great Gentiles that have contributed to society in many different ways, shape, form, fashion, many different ways. And I'm like, wow, these Gentiles have left some of these great people, great human beings. They may have passed on, but they left a legacy of great songs, and they left a legacy the way you will always remember them. I mean, how many of you don't know of Aretha Franklin's song, Respect? You may not have known that Aretha Franklin wrote the song or sung it, but, everybody knows RESPECT. Everybody knows that. It's been in a lot of movies and all this, that, the other, and the third. But they left a legacy. They left something behind, something that would be remembered, that would carry on even after they're in the ground. No problem. Even more so, if Gentiles can do that, even more so for all you Hebrews. Oh, there'll be some, by the way, speaking of death, there'll be some great revelation that Hakohim will put out. I'll remind him. You got some great understanding that's going to help some of you going forward as we deal with death and how to deal with that in the nations. So there'll be some new instructions coming out with that as well. So I think it's very important that you all need to look at your lives as well. Maybe this Shabbat. For some of you, your Shabbat's finished, but look at it this Shabbat and ask yourself, How will I be remembered? What am I leaving behind? What kind of legacy am I leaving behind? Good legacy? Am I leaving something behind that people will remember me by? I mean, these things are important to look at and examine going forward, Mishpachah. Very, very important. And very instructional for us to do. To look back and examine these important concepts about our livelihood and just basically how we live. Now, you look at all these people, you say, well, they had a lot of faults, this, that, the other, and the third. Well, don't we all? Don't we all have a lot of faults? Don't we all make mistakes? But again, even during these times, they made serious contribution to humanity. Serious contribution. They said something about Aretha Franklin at one time when President Obama was president. They had some kind of function, and they had Aretha Franklin there singing. And, they said that, a little bit about her background, that she started singing in the church, gospel choir. She was a singer, right? She started singing in the church. And then she went into being the what? What do they call her? What is her nickname? The Queen of Soul? She was called the Queen of Soul. And anyway, oh, by the way, did you see her casket? They buried her in a gold casket. Did you see that? I was like, Mike, it was gold. A gold casket for the Queen of Soul. I thought that was something. But anyway, back to this function. President Obama had this function when he was president, and she sang at this function. And do you know that they said this is one of the few times that, President Obama, he cried. He literally cried just by listening to her songs, that he cried. I was like, that's amazing. I've never seen a president cry before. But they said, President Obama was crying. Because of this, I didn't know what song it was, but Aretha Franklin was singing the song, and he just started crying. Now, we know the effect of music and how it has on human beings, human nature, and it's quite powerful, right? We know that. Was it Natural Woman? I don't know what song it was, but, President Obama was crying. Wow. And, for a man, especially of that stature, presidents don't sit around boo-hooing, so, I mean, the power of song is very important. It's very important. If you know anything about, history and about the sons of God, and the fallen ones, and you look at Hasatan, that he was also what? Minister of what? Music. Did you know that? Did you know that Hasatan, that he was a minister of music in the garden? Did you know that? For some of you, I hope you knew that, but that's what he did. So he actually was the minister of music in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, so that's just, a little trivia for you there, a little facts on the ground. So, I mean, these are things that we have to look at going forward. Now, some of you say, well, I don't sing, I don't play instruments, but you may have other effects that you can really look at and examine that can be of great use, and that can leave a legacy that, the nation that you're in, you could be remembered by. Maybe not on the scale of a famous singer or anything like that, but you can truly make a difference. You can truly make a big difference. And you need to look at how you can do that. Some of you are touching many lives, and you don't even know it, but you're touching many lives around you. And people are watching you, and I know you know that as well. People do watch you. You see? So I think it's very, very important that you do understand that. Michael Ben David, a great musician. Oh yeah, Abrahu, he sure is. He has good music as well. Very great music, with a purpose behind it as well. Yeah, he has a great gift. You remember the son of Aaron talked about it. We're all given gifts and abilities. And I firmly believe mine is definitely speaking, because I'm that kind of vessel to where the Imhokma can use me to speak through me. I have a big mouth, and she can speak through me, no problem. And I make myself available to her, so she can speak through me. That's all it is. That's that. At the end of the day, that's all it is. I'm no one special, but I utilize the gifts and abilities that are given to me and afforded to me by the Most Highest. And all of you have these gifts and abilities. They may not be the same as mine, and so be it. It's because we all have our roles to play, Mishpachah. Each and every one of us has our roles to play. And I would encourage you this Shabbat to really examine what your role is. and how you can make a difference in your society, your world, which may be your neighborhood, maybe your city, maybe your state. You know, we're all here to play vital roles in these nations. What do you think? The Abba just dumped us in these nations to do what? So we can stay in our house all day? No. We're here to be productive citizens and to really transform these nations and show them this right government and this just government that's talked about in this parsha. That's what we're to do. Then maybe people will want to turn to it. They have the choice. They may want to choose to serve the living God after they see you and your workings. Not so much you say what you say with your lips, but by your actions. And they want to be a part of that way of life, that lifestyle that you live. They like that. So, Baruch Hashem, Master Jesus, Master Yeshua, for having the opportunity to come to you again and speak to you on this level, so we can learn and we can grow together in the exile. And Hashem is saying our bodies are vessels that we permit Hashem to use. No, we don't permit Him to use them. Again, if Hashem is using our bodies, then where's the choice factor? If we're the chosen people, so we don't permit Hashem to use them. We make the choice to serve Hashem. You see, Hashem is not a dictator. You know, I'll finish reading. That we may give the greatest gift from Hashem to me and to you, and that is His Spirit in our beings to feed our souls. Therefore, why not return His gift to me and to you back to Hashem, to God? You see, this is important to understand. Hashem, as you call Him here, Hashem, He doesn't, He gives us full reign, because He's given us dominion to do what we want to do. You see? He's given us dominion, so we have the choice and ability to serve Hashem. It's our choice and ability. You see? That we permit Hashem to use. Okay, I see what you're saying now, Simha. You're saying that we permit Hashem to use our bodies, but we're in control of our bodies to serve Hashem. You see, we don't want to. You see, because then we can pass the blame game on Hashem. Oh, we gave you our bodies, Hashem, and you didn't do. I feel you didn't do me service. You see, this is why the judgment call is all on us. Now, we can permit ourselves to walk in the covenants that are forever. El Olam Va'ed, the covenants are forever. We permit ourselves to do that. Hashem is hands off, but we need to be hands on. Hashem is literally hands off. You see, that we are free of choice, yes, but not forced to. Oh, indeed, we're not forced to. That we have free will of choice, yes, we are not forced to do. No, we're not. And, you know, if you begin to understand how much power we really have as human beings, how much power is really given to us. If we can will just but a percentage of that power, just like with our brains, how much of our brains do we actually use according to science, you see? So I think this is very important for us to look at, is that, I mean, so much potential is there, but how much will we unlock? How much of that potential will we unlock? I mean, that's up to the individual on how much will be unlocked. You see, so I think that's very, very important. Very, very important. Kabbalah, we don't run after Kabbalah here. So, yeah. So I think it's very, very important for us to understand that. We're more focused on the reality here and what's going on in our real lives. That's what's pertinent. And all of us want to serve the living God. We all want to serve the Creator and be in service to the Creator, but we must do it the right way. And there's a formula, there's a pattern that we see in our books from the very beginning of time, that's in the Bible, from the very beginning of the Genesis, all the way through. And the pattern's already set. The living God doesn't change, and so we must get back and just follow the pattern to put our place and our placement back in right standing with the Creator of the heavens and the universe. I always want to be in right standing. So at this time, I'll leave it open for any questions, Mishpachah, and then we'll close it up. And I wish you all a great Shabbat ahead, a great time to do some meditation and reflection on your lives. Also, if you have any questions, Rabbi Simon HaKohen, the son of Aaron, We'll continue part 2 next Shabbat. Part 2 to his pity party. Part 2 of his lecture will come through next Shabbat. And I'd encourage you all, if you're new to the room, welcome. You're all welcome here. Abrahu says, thanks, Chief Kefa. Just wanted to remind people of the 3 feasts coming up this month. Oh, indeed. We've got a busy month ahead with festivals. And if you have any question about the festivals, please do phone in. Send us an email, and we can help you with that as well. But they're pretty straightforward in the nations on how the festivals are run. As you can see, there's so much freedom. And it's not all this hugbug with Judaism, but you see the freedoms of the festivals within the confines of Hardback and the confines of the way. See, I think it's very important that we understand that as well. Very important. Very important that you see the freedom that you have within the confines of the Torah, and not in Judaism, Judaism's pig water that they're giving you out there, stressing you out, having you all over the place. You're taking 2 steps forward to take 10 back, and you're like, so I remember the festivals. I was so worn out on the festivals, I didn't know what to do myself because I was trying to make sure everything was right. But now I see the freedoms. If you need help with the festivals as well, I would encourage you to get our book on the festivals that HaKohen penned himself. The Feast of Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel. You can purchase on Amazon. It will help you with all our festivals and having an understanding, a perspective of the importance of why these festivals are forever, and they're just not, they're just not for when we're in the land, but they're forever. So we're to do the best that we can in the dispersion and in the land as well. So I think that's very, very important for us to understand going forward. Very important. Very important. Any other question? Is that your website that you all saying? Sorry, I just got here. Yeah, the website's on the top up there, forever-israel.com. Please, go there if you like. Come back. All of you are welcome. Any newbies here, you're welcome to come back. There's no agenda here but the Torah of Moses. Okay? More than welcome to come back. We start 9 o'clock Central Time here in Texas. So we'll start next Shabbat again, 9 o'clock Central Time. If the Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus of Nazareth, so desires to linger, we'll see you next Shabbat. If not, then we'll see you in Israel. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua. Central Time here in Texas. I'm here in San Antonio, Texas. So we'll start Central Time. 9 o'clock is our start time. Central Time here in Texas. But I know people listening all over the world. So make the necessary adjustments. Make the necessary adjustment that you need to make. And all are welcome here. Our agenda is the Torah, so that we can. We have many members here in Texas. Some in North Texas, some Central Texas. So yeah, if the Texans are still here, please acknowledge yourself. So this member can see that you have Hebrews in Texas. Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, Torah followers in Texas. So Texas is here. Round Rock, Texas is here. I know we have Dallas area, Texas is here. So awesome. So we give thanks for the dispersion and that we're scattered everywhere to the four corners of this earth. Riva Benia, Shabbat Shalom to you, and I'm so happy to hear that you're out traveling about. I think that's important. Let those tzitzis touch all these nations and the island countries as well, because it's important. You're doing a great service for the Most Highest, and continue to do the good work. And all of you continue to do the great works that you're doing, because believe it or not, you may not see it, but your works are making a difference. You see, because people won't come out and say till maybe later on. Remember that game See and Say? Yeah, but you're totally making a difference. All of you are, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and at different levels. So I would encourage you all. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm your biggest cheerleader in the world. Believe me, I'm your biggest cheerleader in the world. Believe you me. And I want to encourage all of you to continue on, because you do make a difference. You do make a difference in this great world. You do make a difference. You see, you do make a difference. So, Baruch Hashem, Master Yeshua, and I wish you all a great Shabbat and a great 6 days of labor ahead. For those of you, I say Shalom, Shalom to you. For those of you across the pond, and Shabbat Shalom to you. For those of you who are still in Shabbat mode over here. Oliver, vive la France. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpaha. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your families, friends, loved ones, meal, all that good stuff.